Live from Harbor Station, it's the Vector Spaceman Show. Now, here's your host, Vector Spaceman.
Hello, Space Cadets! Hey! How's everybody doing? It's your old pal, Vector Spaceman. We're back at it again, man. Coming to you live straight from Harbor Station, broadcasting on all frequencies to our beautiful planet Earth. Whether you're watching us live or catching us after the show, don't you know, we're glad to have you on board. Thanks for helping us make outer space the place to be tonight, Wednesday, October 29th, 2025. It is Wednesday, my dudes. Indeed, that never gets old. Always fresh, always hip, always spry, just like the Vector Spaceman. Skeletor, how you doing? On the spot, right off the drop. We love to see a little action in the chat. Hope you're having a fine Wednesday. We're back for another yappening. So much has been happening. Let's talk about it, Space Cadets. That's why we're here. That's what it's all about. Sit back, relax, let Spaceman ease you into the middle of your week. Now, if you missed the last show, we finished up the latest No Man's Sky expedition. Jumping through wormholes, digging up bones, fighting space worms. All in a day's work and all in pursuit of that sweet, sweet loot. That limited time gear. Who doesn't love it? No Man's Sky continuing to prove itself the single greatest investment into prolonged gaming goodness. But it's nice to take a break and change things up. We'll bid farewell to the Vector Space Van and Galactic Challenges until the next big update, but you can be sure that whenever it drops, we'll be there. And if you want to stay up to date with all of our broadcasts so that you never ever miss a show, then be sure to follow Vector Spaceman on YouTube, on Blue Sky, and of course right here on Twitch. Yeah, buddy. Give me just one hot second here. Give me just uno momento. Just wanna, I notice my mouth is hanging open a lot more than I expect, so let me just... That looks good. That looks better. Not just a big open mouth the whole time. Hope everybody's Wednesday is going well. Hope everybody's been having a good week. What have you been up to, Skeletor? You been living out your dreams? You been accomplishing things this week? You being a go-getter? Or is it just a lazy fall week? It's that kind of season. It's gonna be daylight savings this weekend. Don't forget. Turn your clock back. Get a little extra sleep. Don't we all need it? Video games? Video games, video games, games, games. Nothing wrong with that. A little rest and relaxation. Spaceman did that as well, in a certain sense. Took a little time off from streaming. We didn't have a stream last night at our regularly scheduled programming hour, because instead, went out with some buddies and got to see that new Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein. And let me tell you, what a film. What a film. What a movie, what a show, what a flick, what a joint. We're talking cinema. We're talking kinematography. We're talking, I'm so glad that I've got a new movie which counts as the last movie I ever saw in theaters. Because I gotta tell you, we had a bad run of it for a while. For a long while. Put this into your head. Put this into your brain space. I want you to picture this in your mind's eye, all right? The year is 2019. It's December. Holiday is around the horizon. And Spaceman and friends, the extended Vector Space fam, if you will, we're going to the movies. We're gonna go see the latest in a storied and historic series of films. We go out and we see Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. We sit through that. We experience that. We're forced to live in a world where that exists. Somehow, we make it through it. It could be one of those things where you're just, it's like, in a sense, it's kind of like the same way I felt about the Evangelion Rebuild series, where by the end of it, I was like, I'm just glad this is over with. I'm glad this is done. That I got to see the end of things. But I think even that was a little more tastefully done than the final Star Wars film. So real for that. Listen, we spit nothing but fresh, hot, and entirely valid takes here on the Vector Spaceman Show. As a piece of internet commentary, Vector Spaceman just can't be wrong. But here's the follow-up. We go to see Rise of Skywalker. Somehow Palpatine returns. They fly now, and everything else. Then what happens? Then we get a global pandemic. So for years, I have to live walking around in my day-to-day life knowing that the last movie I ever saw in a movie theater was Star Wars Episode 9. How do you live with that? What a sword of Damocles hung above one's head, swinging ever so precariously. I could have got hit by a bus. I could have got sick and died. I could have, I don't know, broke my face skateboarding without a helmet or something, right? I could have suffered terrible tragedy, and Spaceman could have been no more, and they would have said the last movie he ever saw was Star Wars Episode 9. I couldn't live with myself like that. I couldn't die with myself like that. You understand? So we had to remedy this. We had to remedy this problem. I'm very pleased to say that now, the last film I ever saw in a theater was a real film. Was a real, put together, artsy, with a capable, competent, real director. What was it? Well, it's the movie I saw last night. I was just talking about that. It's Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Which, to be fair, like, it would have come out in a couple weeks on digital anyways, but I wanted to see this movie in the theater. I thought, here's a film that deserves to be seen on a big screen with bombastic sound and with some buddies. We took some friends along with us. It was a good time. Visually captivating, stunning. If Guillermo del Toro is anything, he is a visual director. This is the guy who brought us Hellboy. This is the guy who brought us Pan's Labyrinth. This is the guy who brought us Pacific Rim. Like, he jumps all over genre-wise, but he just does what he likes. They say, here you go, Guillermo, have some money. And he says, gracias, because he's Spanish. And then he makes a fine movie. Everybody's pleased. Studios make some money. And then he, takes off to do his next little project. Whatever grabs his fancy. I saw a bunch of Del Toro films just leading up to this, just to get myself in that gothic headspace. I watched Crimson Peak earlier last week, and Nightmare Alley. He did an adaptation of that as well. The good stuff. We're talking about the good stuff here, doggy. How you doing, doggy? Happy Wednesday. It's Wednesday, my dog. Hope everything's going well, or at least better than last time. Hope everything continues to improve in your life. Ever skyward, ad astra. Wishing you always and only the best. That's how we stay supportive here at the Vector Spaceman Show. It is Wednesday, my space dude. Holy moly. And we're talking about stuff. We're just chit-chatting, chit-chatting, yapping, shooting the breeze, the space breeze, as it were. I saw Frankenstein last night, doggy. It was a good movie. Yeah, so hold on. Let's get into the Wednesday mood, shall we? Ah! It was so good. Here's the thing. Run. Don't walk to your local theater. Because if it is showing, it's a limited time release. It's only in theaters for like a few more days, I want to say, most places. It got like a 2 or 3 week release period, and then it's going to Netflix. So you'll be able to, watch it digitally pretty easy, but it deserves to be seen on the big screen. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Gonna binge campy 90s Halloween films? That's a good way to spend a Halloween. Y'all got Halloween plans coming up? It's gonna be pretty busy here where Spaceman's at. Yes, indeedly. Yes, indeedly. Can't be around other breathing creatures. Oh, you're down with the ickness? Dog. That's rough, Dee Dee. So you just gotta stay holed up with 2 or 3 boxes of individually wrapped little Halloween candies. And just, drown your sickness away by inducing, as close as one can get to a diabetic coma. Just make sure there's no razor blades or safety pins or anything nasty in your Halloween candy. Old urban legends. Tell me something, you guys. Pop off here. Let's see some action in the chat. Favorite and least favorite Halloween candies growing up. What sparked joy in your little Halloween bag? And what made you think, oh, this is, this is trash loot. This is a gray drop. This is, just taking up my inventory space. Rolling some condition saves, drinking tea, and watching the Vector Spaceman show. What more could you want? It's what doctors recommend. Atomic Sours? Ooh. I didn't mind those. But you know what it reminds me of? Like, I could never stand, like, the Warheads. Like, those ones were always the worst. Like, it was beyond sour. It was just, like... It was just pain. It was just pain all up in your mouth. Oh, you like Warheads too? That's too much for me. That's like, what are we doing here? And then you get sores on your tongue, or at least I did. Maybe I just got a cat's tongue. Maybe I just got sensitive. A nuke of sour, if you will. Exactly. It's like, why are we doing self-harm here? To our mouth. To be fair though, like, I've always had trouble. Here's a little Spaceman lore for you. I've always had trouble with, like, if I get like a mouth sore or something, like if I bite the inside of my lip or something like that, I know it's gonna swell up, and I've got about 12 to 24 hours to eat as much salty or sugary stuff as I want, because after that, it's just going to, like, burn for like 2 weeks while it heals. It's like, well, time to go down with this ship. You know what, Skeletor? I think I did get that. But thank you for clarifying. Get 2 handfuls of Warheads for 1 Hershey bar? Man. So not only is this a dog who knows what she wants, knows what she needs in life, also out here hustling. Making big money trades. Keep that energy alive. Also, I'm currently playing Rocket Bot Royale. What the heck is Rocket Bot Royale? Spaceman said, as he Googled furiously. Rocket Bot Royale. It's an online multiplayer game where players control rocket-powered robots. Well, that tracks, I guess. I don't know what I expected. I lived in a rich people place near the ocean, so everyone had full-size candy. Wow! Dee Dee was a rich people place? Dee Dee was a rich people? One year I got 2 wheelbarrows? What do you mean wheelbarrows? You don't drop in here and start talking about wheelbarrows? We didn't live in those neighborhoods, we walked. Oh, okay. Okay. Like climbing up some mythical mountain to steal a dragon's hoard. Dressed in your finest gear. There's something quite fantastical about that. Candy Mountain! We're going to Candy... Let me do that. Hold on. What did they sound like? Charlie sounded very... gruff and like that. I don't know if I can do the other ones. We're going to Candy Mountain! No, not really. We gotta be sneaky, Charlie. Sneaky. That's like one of my favorite shots out of that whole series, is when they're being sneaky and their legs are like noodling. Film cow. What a throwback. Thank you so much for that wonderful memory, Dee. So glad we got to experience that. Listen, if we run out of things to do tonight, we're just going to watch Charlie the Unicorn again. What a classic. I had like one friend who loved that series, and one friend who despised that series. So of course, me and the friend who liked it, we got to mess with the guy who didn't like it, doing voices, getting up in his face, quoting. It was perfect. It was like being the unicorns. Because that's friendship right there. That's what one does. But let me tell you, this Frankenstein, this Frankenstein, this film, this Guillermo del Business, whew! We're talking solid B+. And that might seem like, oh, Spaceman, that's not the ringing endorsement that I thought you were going to give. But here's the thing. I don't think Guillermo's ever made, like, a real sucky movie. He just makes real, consistently decent movies. Except maybe Hellboy 2. I think he learned from that, and that's why he didn't direct the second Pacific Rim. But apart from that, leaving sequels out of the equation, like every original film that he does, it's like decent. It's pretty good. The only problem, the only thing that holds it back from greatness is I think he writes a lot of his screenplays, and the man may not have the firmest grasp on English, is the problem. He's not a native English speaker, and so I'm gonna say a lot of the dialogue sounds odd. It sounds like that could have been worked on a bit. We could have come up with something better to say. Like, I was so jazzed, I was so ready to be obnoxious after seeing Frankenstein. I was so ready to, like, feign, like, a sophomoric intellect. Be like, you know, I'm starting to think that maybe Dr. Frankenstein was the real monster. You know, be a dork about it, right? Just play up and, like, annoy my friends and stuff. But they had a character in the movie say the exact same thing. They stole my thunder. And, like, as hammy. As obnoxiously. I couldn't follow that. So apart from that disappointment, it was still a sick film. Would recommend, if it's still playing near you, go see it on a big screen. Canadians have still got, despite the perception I've heard about the youth, not to say that Vector Spaceman is not a member of the quote-unquote youth, but, you know, kids these days, that they got bad cinema etiquette. That's what you hear sometimes. But the theater we went to, nobody on their phones, nobody talking, nothing like that. Old school movie-going experience. To be fair, I don't know if it's the kind of film that attracts, like, dorks, by which I mean ruffians, by which I mean hooligans, by which I mean those types. So maybe we just got lucky. Or maybe it's just a Canadian thing. Maybe we're just polite. We've managed to avoid bad tendencies amid the strange years where you couldn't go to the movies. Which is all to say, go see Frankenstein if you can. And if you can't, watch it digitally when it comes out in like a couple weeks. Because it's good. It's good. It's got a Spaceman seal of approval. Same, I had a friend who made it their personality, their whole personality. And the other one was super into Newgrounds and hated it. I don't know how you can be into Newgrounds and not appreciate Charlie the Unicorn. Or any of the Film Cow filmography. Llamas with Hats. I really only know the two, but I know there's other stuff. That's just good quality animated history right there. Carl! That's what it was. That's what it was, yeah. You're not supposed to eat people's hands. I'm misquoting, but my point stands. Eminently important bits of internet history. Who could deny? Who could debate? Who could detest? Llamas with Hats is real. It's for real ones. It's for real G's. It's for rarefied folks. We stand Llamas with Hats in this space station. Let me tell you. Anyways, apart from spooky time movies, I'm just going to take a brief aside here for a second because I need to write something down. Because Dee Dee actually gave me an incredible idea. So I'm putting it in the joke bin. Which is driving into rich neighborhoods on Halloween to get best candy. Framed like Arthurian adventure / quest. Okay. I got a big file of like jokes and bits that we will someday use in various projects. And it just keeps getting bigger. And until we run out, we're just gonna keep making skits and specials and what have you. I think it was more they were jealous since they did some Newgrounds stuff. Shh! Well, come on. You can't be jealous of it. You can't get mad at something like Charlie the Unicorn. It's elemental. It's everything that the internet strives to be, or ought to be. Back when we had websites. Y'all remember websites? Remember when we had websites and not just apps? Man, those were the days. Lamau, yeah, we got plenty of jokes up in here. See if there's any here that I can share. Let's see. Ideas that we want to use. Jokes about cat people. Star Trek jokes where we maybe use Roshan as the Nebula from Star Trek 2. Vector with fake hair. Teaching Palm to drive the space van. Roller skating jokes. Jammy at a baseball game. Scott Pilgrim jokes. We got a lot of stuff here. A lot of stuff here that we will eventually use. One of these days. One of these days. I have been oddly productive today, I will say. Did a little live 2D work on the model, which I maybe will show off at some point, because I need to do some testing with it. So maybe we'll do a little behind the scenes at some point. Show off some of the concepts that I'm trying to get to work here. It's not anything visually stunning. It's there's technical things that I want to try to play around with that on its own live 2D doesn't want to make easy for us, so I want to try to find a way to make it work. Make it work. We try to make it work. But hey, you know what else is happening? Big news if you've ever seen a baseball game or know anything about it. World Series. Blue Jays. Toronto. Our local team. With one Canadian player, but it still counts. They managed to tie up the World Series last night, which means that there's going to at least be a Game 6, maybe even a Game 7, which means they're going to be coming back to the city for those games, which means we're going to have to try to do something. Go see one of those watch parties or something like that in the city. We're going to take a trip, which means we probably won't be streaming on Friday or Saturday, maybe Saturday. But that's fine, of course, because Friday's Halloween. We didn't want to stream on Fridays anyways, because people's busy doing Halloween-y things. And if people could hear noise coming from the station, then they might think that somebody's in here, and they might knock on the door and ask for candy that we don't have. We can't have that, because that's ours. That's our candy. If we did have any, that'd be ours. I didn't even engage with my own spurious attempt to generate interaction in the chat. But I've always been a big fan of like the Reese cups. That was my go-to. Problem is they get pretty mushy pretty quick when you're out trick-or-treating. They got a very low melting point. So you gotta hope you're at trick-or-treat and you get a Halloween that's kind of chilly. A wear your coat under your costume kind of Halloween. Which, to be fair, that might be what we're looking at this year. It's getting pretty chilly. It's getting pretty cold down below the station. But although we won't be back for Friday, and depending how baseballs go, we might not be back for Saturday. But depending how things go, despite all that, we're still going to be back for a stream tomorrow because friend of the show, Ava, has put together a Project Zomboid event that we're going to be taking part in. So that's fun. That's cool. We get to survive some zomboys. A little vector spaceman in Knox County, Kentucky. Doing our best to survive a horrific zombie onslaught. So tense, so exciting. What's not to love? That'll be tomorrow sometime. Who? Ava the Femboy, friend of the show. We've done a couple of collabs with them in the past. Shout out to Ava the Femboy. Not a virtual streamer, a live action streamer. We've done a couple of tabletop role-playing streams with them, and last week we did a Jackbox Party Pack collab over on Roshan Galaxy's channel, and they were a participant in that as well. Knox County. Knox County is the setting of Project Zomboid. That's the game we're going to be doing tomorrow. I really appreciate the way that game looks. If you've never seen Project Zomboid, like, you'd look at it and you think, oh, this looks like the OG Sims or something. Like, it's isometric, it's very low poly, but I don't hate that. It works. It's got a good look to it. Of course, it helps to render a bajillion zombies on screen at once. I'm sure that's, you know, part of it. Easy to run, easy to play. Not so easy to survive, though. That's the challenge. Therein lies the rub. No, the only Nox I know of that we've interacted with is Nox Embertos, I believe. Nox Embertos was a background character in one of our past skits. Nox Evergreen. I'm not sure I've heard of them. Nox Evergreen. Oh. Elven Forest Guardian VTuber. Here's the thing about VTubers, though. There's so many of us. As much as you would like to stay up to date and familiar with everybody, it's functionally impossible. They got a nice model, though. I'm a fan. Always give support to the fellow independent VTubers. Independent virtual streamers. But anyways, yeah, I've been accosted from all sides today, trying to put together plans for, all right, are we going into the city this weekend? Doing stuff, streaming tonight, gaming tomorrow. It's been busy. And on top of all that, we've been trying to put together, how you say, this live 2D function I'm trying to get working here. Ace, how are you doing? Happy Wednesday, my dude. Everybody gets a free on Wednesday. That's for you. That's yours. Keep it safe. Keep it somewhere nice and precious. Just quit your job today? Let's go, you guys! Big cheers! We're quitting jobs! Let's go! I couldn't be more happy for you, Ace. Tell me something. It's because you weren't happy at this job? Is that the reason? You just weren't feeling it? It was holding you back. You knew you could do better. You're moving on to bigger and better things. Yeah, I worked there for like 2 weeks and dipped to something better. Hey, that's even better. You got something else lined up. See, they say that it's always easier to find a job when you already have a job. There might be some truth to that, but I'm sure it's harder to interview for jobs when you've already got a job. Jobs always want to be doing interviews during job hours. It's like, how am I going to sneak away? We left our latest jobby job back in the middle of summer. It just was not working for us. We were holed up inside all day, doing work that was not fulfilling, work that did not reflect or embolden or empower a young spaceman. It did not spark joy. And every day I had to look out into the parking lot from the one window in the entire building. I had to look out there. And I had to see my beautiful orange space buggy gleaming in the sun, beckoning in the middle of summer, the whole world at my fingertips, so much potential, so much time for activities. There it is. Orange space buggy, beauty, wonderful, incomparable, orange. Every day telling me, Spaceman, let's hit the road, Jack. Let's get on out of here. Until I finally couldn't take it anymore. I put in my resignation, didn't have anything else lined up. It was just like, this is not what I was meant to be doing. And it's been a good rest of the summer, I gotta say. We're lucky enough that we've got savings. We don't have to worry about, being a stationless, homeless spaceman or anything like that. So we're good. We're in a fortunate position. We'll have to find something to do eventually, sure. But for now, we can just kind of coast, enjoy, figure out what we want to do, We know what we don't want to do. We've been there. We just got to figure out what we do want to do. How does one fulfill oneself? Intellectually, professionally, creatively. But in your case, you're saying that my college is currently teaching me how to find a job in the industry, so I might be moving even further up soon. Let's go. Way to go, Ace. That deserves a fancy, what do we got here? A clap, a little golf clap. Well done, well done. Well done. Very good, very good, very good, very good, very good, very good, Ace, very good. Jimmy here is the guy that created the Wednesday My Dudes meme. Sick. Here's the thing, sometimes you just make a meme that's so good that that's who you are now. That's all people are gonna recognize you as. Like, I know that, I forget what his name is. Josh or Joe Gooden or something like that. Joel Gooden? Something Gooden. Is like a YouTuber and he makes videos all the time, but to me and the people I know, he's just gonna be road work ahead. Yeah, I sure hope it does. That old Vine. Sometimes you just nail it out of the park. Yeah, I got one class teaching me how to get a writing job. Love it. Lovely. And another class teaching me how to pitch a pilot to a TV network. Yo, let's go. This is great. This isn't even real school. This is TV school. I wish I had gone to TV school, man. I went to a regular school instead. I went to get a degree in a field school. I went get a bachelor's of whatever to school, man. It sucks. Because the whole time I was just daydreaming about making webcomics and running, tabletop games and stuff like that. I should have been learning how to pitch shows. Tell you what, Ace. One of these days, when you're a high-powered network executive, you let us know, and we'll pitch you the Harbor Station show, the Vector Spaceman and Friends animated series. Sometimes you gotta use whatever connections you got. That's super cool, though. Man, I love folks who've got TV and film and theater aspirations. credentials, professions. There's one industry I'd love to be in. That's it. But, you know, you don't just walk up, knock on the door, and be like, hey, I'd love to work in television, please. Firstly, for the fact that it's kind of a precarious industry to be in to begin with. What with how everything gets streamed and what have you these days. But media in general, you know, hyper competitive. Also, hell yeah, I'll do that. Hells yeah, we'll hold you to that, Ace. Working on a pilot script about a guy who wants to mark everything off his bucket list, but he's dying of a terminal illness. Okay. Is that not The Bucket List? Starring Morgan Freeman? Which, to be fair, is probably just an extrapolation of, you know, older themes anyways. You know, you could draw a lot of parallels to, like, Ikiru even. Trying to make the most of one's limited time left on Earth ain't a real, you know, novel idea. But I believe that you can make something cool out of it. Oh, Ghost is here! Howdy, Ghost. It's Wednesday, my dudes. Ah! That's for you, Ghost. That's your Wednesday. Ah. You can definitely knock on the door and ask to be on TV if you have a video that makes some old guy in a suit laugh. That's the thing, it's so much nepotism, right? It's who you know. It's not what you know. It's who you know. I'm starting to think that it might be about who you know. So my brother told me it's similar to the Bucket List movie. Never see it. You gotta see movies. If you're gonna work in TV or movies, I feel like you gotta watch TV and movies. That's gotta be a prerequisite. But you know what? Some people, they're just not like... Sound off in the chat, you guys. Let me know. Like, what's your... Like... Maybe it could be a hyperfixation, or it could be a comfort thing, or whatever. But like, what's your passion media? Like, what's your go-to media? Some people love binge watching their favorite TV shows. Some people love watching movies. Some people love playing video games. Some people love reading, right? So many mediums of artistic communication and storytelling. What's yours? What's your go-to? Ace likes books. Teacher made fun of me in front of class for not knowing any movies. My name's Ace, and I've never watched a movie. And I'm in my 4th year of movie school. I saw one movie, and it was Toy Story 2, and I saw it on a plane. I'm Ace. For me, though, like, I got a real close buddy who is like video games. That's his go-to medium. Loves gaming. Loves single-player games. But I could never get that. Like, I don't sit down and play a single-player game on my own. I'll play a multiplayer game. I feel like that's why I developed a love for like shooters and stuff like that, because I could play it on the couch, you know, with my buds. Do a little co-op Halo 3, absolutely. You know, that's different because it's not about the game, it's about who you're sharing your time with in that case. If I want to just enjoy storytelling, then for me, it's definitely film. Like, that's my go-to. Maybe it's because I did like theater and stuff growing up. Maybe it's because I used to like quote quite a lot of like film dialogue and stuff like that. I don't know why. It became like a mnemonic thing. A little Spaceman lore for you there. Do my one-man rendition of the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy, extended edition. Mainly went to school to learn how to write and market a book, not get into the movie industry, but now I'm knee-deep in film. I'm here to write books until I figured out that nobody buys books. Now I'm trying to sell movies, and I have never watched films. See, that ought to be... You should write a fake it till you make it type pilot. A show pitch. There you go. Guy who wanted to make it as an author, and now he has to struggle his way through screenwriting, trying to be elevated, trying to be lofty, trying to be literary, writing scripts and screenplays with so much emotional depth, only to be torn apart by his superiors telling him that, no, this won't play with modern audiences. No, you gotta dumb this down. The moral of the story. Do you sell out yourself just to get it made, Another classic. Spaceman, you should be doing this, come on. It writes itself. Video games or certain Twitch streams for Ghost. Don't really watch movies or shows nowadays unless it's in a VC with people. There's a whole, you guys, maybe you've seen this, like there's a whole industry of YouTubers who will do like movie reactions or TV show reactions. So they'll watch this stuff for the first time and presumably is being viewed by people who have already seen the movie. So they're looking for the reactions of these strangers on the internet, which I think is just giving further credence to the notion of YouTubers, of streamers, of what have you, as like a friend substitute or friend simulator sort of thing. It's that old parasocial relationship business going on again, Because I'll admit, if I were to show a friend of mine, like an actual friend of mine, a movie for the first time, I'd be looking to see how they react, how they respond to different scenes and stuff like that, which must be the allure of these reaction channels as well. But is it good for us? Is it healthy? And is it breeding a type of person who will just... Like, I've got a friend who... She's watched The Office, like, I don't know how many times, front to back, whole thing. And I think still does like a yearly rewatch while she's doing work, Just have it off on another screen, that sort of thing. Let it play, let it ride. Something familiar, right? But I could definitely see these reaction channels producing like a type of person who is just rewatching the same stuff and looking for more people's reactions to the same stuff. That can't be a healthy way to live. Def's still writing a book, but making a TV show does sound more fun because you get to build a crew. So probably not if you're just writing it, right? But yeah, if you get into a directorial position, absolutely. So that's what they ought to get Spaceman to do. That's it. All right, we'll just pivot. We'll just pivot to making movies and stuff. That's what we'll do. We'll call up OCAD or Seneca or whoever's got a film program. That'll be our next pivot. The Vector Spaceman and Friends show. Coming to Netflix. Or some C-rank streaming service. That's probably more likely. If anything, that's probably more likely. I used to watch shows like that, but lately I just can't get into it like I used to. Watch shows like, what, like over and over and over again? Like back in like the spring when it was like the early spring when it was still too cold to go out biking. I got like a little stationary bike in the station as well. So I'd just be pedaling on that and I'll like put on an episode of like Arrested Development. That's always a good one. Which I've seen it before, but I think it's been like a few years since I watched it. So, it's familiar. It's funny stuff. You like to see it. And you sort of know when it's going to be over. So it's like, all right, couple episodes. And then you hop off and you get your workout done, I just can't have, like, I couldn't be doing work with something like that going off in the corner of my eye and in the corner of my ear, as it were. Get too easily distracted by that. I don't think I can, like, write stuff with some other voice in my ear. Just commercial television in general. This far too commercial television these days. Really like stuff like Mythbusters. Oh, so you need the Discovery Channel. Good science shows. They're hard to find now. Yeah, because listen, it's all about those ancient aliens now, bud. Oh, you directed a short film before, Ace? Nice, nice. How short? Some like 10-minute diddly-do? Some black and white thing. Very minimal dialogue. Focused heavily on lighting. I've seen a lot of student works. Feel the same way. Definitely get distracted if it was anything besides music. Well, even music can be hard for me. Like if it's got lyrics and stuff, even that can distract me. Sometimes we can lock in. Actually, you know what? Perfect example of locking in is like when we've done the some of the longer form Spaceman specials and what have you, which, by the way, check it out over on the YouTube page. YouTube, why didn't you work? Check it out over on the YouTube page. We got a whole playlist for the skits and specials, but like the longer form ones that take me like a month to get done, I'll put like just like instrumental beats in the background as I'm doing stuff. Gets me incredibly focused. Rhythmic, you know? Non-stop. On repeat. Looping it. Aesop Rock's got a lot of good instrumentals for that. 4 minutes. It was for a class, and 4 minutes was the max. Oh, they didn't want you to get too ahead of yourself. Yeah, aliens. We're talking about aliens here. Ancient aliens, though. Only the finest. What's you guys' favorite conspiracy theory? If you've got one, let me know. Sound off. I'd love to hear it. We talking aliens built the pyramids? We talking Mayan calendar nonsense? Hollow Earth is a great one. I like Hollow Earth. I'm a big, I love Antarctica stuff as well. That's a good one. It's easy to fall in love with and like romanticize the idea of stuff being, you know, trapped under the ice at the far edges of the world. Everything covered in snow, no evidence. Birds Aren't Real is fantastic. I love the energy behind Birds Aren't Real. I love the commitment to it. Ice Wall's also fun, but I'm pretty sure my brother actually believes it, so I'm not gonna make fun of it. Ice Wall's easy to disprove, though. Flat Earth sucks because it's so easy to disprove. Hollow Earth is rad because we've only ever dug like a minuscule fraction into the Earth. Like we've never even reached the like beyond the thinnest layer of the outer crust. It just gets too hot and too pressurized down there. So you're not going to get down there and find like hidden world or whatever, but it's still a very cool thought that there could be stuff lurking. With Palm, we found out about a guy that believes there are black holes at the center of the Earth that deal with dark DNA. So here's a very dark DNA. What the heck is dark DNA? I thought you meant like dark matter for a second. What is dark DNA? Black holes with dark DNA. Aliens being time travelers that live under the ocean is also a fun theory. You're talking about Pacific Rim is what you're talking about right now. Don't think you could sneak that one past me. Karen, how you doing? Karen, we're talking about dark DNA. We're in our dark phase. It's getting Halloweeny up in here. We're talking about dark DNA. Karen, how you doing? Happy Wednesday, my dude, and a big for you, my friend. Help yourself to a cup of blue. Settle on in. We're chit-chatting. talking about conspiracy theories right now. Give us a good one. Give us your favorite. What turns your crank? What gets your gears going? What gets you jazzed? Hells yeah, everybody have a cup of blue. Delicious. On us. Okay, so I don't know what dark DNA is then, but supposedly it's in all of us. But I want to go back to what I thought you were talking about, which is dark matter as a concept. I think it's a very charming idea. The notion that dark matter is gravitational, like the gravitational presence of objects in a parallel universe. That's something, you know, that you can't prove or disprove because it's outside the realms, outside the scope of testing. But I think it's a charming idea, at least when it comes to, you know, these fanciful notions of space and things like that. I like dark matter because of how plausible it is. Well, it's not even a plausible thing. It's like we can detect it. We detect mass in absence of matter. And the question is why? Karen likes Jewish people making moon lasers that turn people gay. That's a pretty complex one. That's got a lot of parts going on there. Heard that from a real life person when I worked at a grocery store. I believe that. Knowing where Kieran's from, I believe that. Like, why is it... Alright, first of all, why is it moon laser? So there's a laser on the moon? It's giving very History of the World Part 1. We're Jews out in space. We're zooming along, protecting the Hebrew race. So the Jewish people put the lasers on the moon. Okay. Does Israel even have a space program? Maybe they just co-opted NASA. I don't know. Are there whalers on the moon? Yes. And they carry a harpoon. But there ain't no whale, so we tell tall tales and we sing our whaling tune. I gotta tell you, like, maybe the cleanest 4 bars in the history of jokey cartoon songs. We're whalers on the moon, we carry a harpoon, but there ain't no whale, so we tell tall tales and we sing our whaling tune. Beautiful. No notes, A+, full marks. Alright, but why are the lasers turning you gay, Kieran? Why are you a victim? Ace says, the book I'm writing is about a conspiracy I made up about folklore and mythology being true, but the CIA is covering it up. So we're like Mitch Rapp meets the Da Vinci Code. That could be cool. You walked away? Oh, how do you not get invested in that, Kieran? You know what? I understand, though. I kind of understand. Like, there's only so much stuff you can fit in your brain. I think about that sometimes. There's only so many things that you're ever going to get to remember or know or think about. At a certain point, you have to start, like, what's the word? Like, you gotta start gardening your brain, as it were, right? You gotta start roping things off. You gotta be like, okay, only the best getting in. We don't have time for this anymore. He also thought that we were being tracked via ultrasound in the store. So that's a fun one. And maybe he's thinking of like, he might have seen like a YouTube video or something like that. Because you know what's cool is that you can create rudimentary sonar imaging with just like, with, I shouldn't say just like, but with modern like wireless modems. And that's pretty cool. That's got potential for good conspiracy theory. Because A, it's easy to believe and it's easy to see and what have you. It can get people very worried. And then those people might, you know, stay off the internet. They'll be like, I can't be anywhere with no Wi-Fi. Sorry, that was disrespectful of me, Karen, adopting what almost became a Southern accent. You know, it's not just your people. I shouldn't do that. I should be more respectful. So my store had a Taste of Italy promotion, and this guy brought all our special Italian pasta sauce and ground coffee for when the world gets destroyed. Yeah, buddy. Preppers are pretty rad. You know what I appreciate? I appreciate a self-produced prepper. You know, I appreciate a guy who dug his own trench and buried like some cut up sheet metal that he welded into a dome, or like a hollowed out school bus or something like that. I appreciate this, the self-made prepper with the custom doomsday bunker, who's always eating beans because his old ones are expiring, so of course he's got to buy new beans. Keeping the canned goods economy afloat. As opposed to like the boutique doomsday prepper, right? The guy who orders like the MREs, the overpriced like stuff like that. He's got like a teched out machete that's called like the Zombie Killer 5000 or something like that. It's very mall ninja. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like it's an aesthetic. It's giving, you know, it's trying too hard. Or any of these billionaires who buy like a bunker in New Zealand or whatever. It's like, come on, you didn't put any heart into that. I don't believe that you've got any real pressing fear of the end of the world. It's a real shame, I think. You know, the dollar's lost so much of its purchasing power, we've probably lost a whole generation of potential coots and quacks and nutcases and what have you, simply because they don't have the disposable income to engage in funny business. I would love to have a doomsday bunker just for fun. Who wouldn't? Absolutely. Maybe you and your boys all over the neighborhood just start building tunnels connecting all of your doomsday bunkers. Absolutely. You know, if you were living in some up-and-coming tech town or something like that, and you all had some office space type do-nothing job, you know, filing TPS reports and getting paid too much money, then absolutely that's what people would do. But it's not the 90s anymore. The dot-com bubble done burst. And regrettably, you know what I kick myself about for? It's not recognizing that other people can get carried away by stuff. Because when I see something like Bitcoin, I'm like, that's dumb. Nobody's ever going to use that. And then it makes $1 billion. And then when they come out and they're like, hey, here's this thing called an NFT. I'm like, there's no way anybody's going to buy something like that. And then they make $1 bajillion. And then, you know, they start hyping up, hey, we're doing all this AI stuff. It's time to start investing in AI. And I'm like, that's the stupidest. Why would you ever abdicate your own human thought to a machine? That's never going to catch on. And then they make $1 bajillion. I've missed so many opportunities to make $1 bajillion because I keep thinking it's going to be the stupidest thing in the world. So next time I think something's going to be the stupidest thing in the world, that's going to be my cue to start giving it, you know, at least a little more consideration. Not that I have anywhere to do it, but Colin Furs' bunker seems hella cool to have. Who the heck is Colin Furs? I've heard his name before, but I can't put a face to him. Colin Furs, bunker. Oh, this is the guy who built the bunker in his backyard? British guy. Hex yeah. Wasn't there some, there was some girly who was doing something like that too, right? Making a tunnel. Is Guy still working on his bunker though? Or did they shut him down? Let's look this up. Come with me, you guys. We're going to the desk. It's a learning show, Space Cadets. Let's take a look at the laptop, and we can all learn together. Bam! Colin Furs, a British YouTuber, inventor, engineer, and television presenter. Oh, he got a TV job. Good for him. Best known for his eccentric engineering project and DIY invention showcased on his YouTube channel. Over 13 million subscribers. That's way more than we've got. His notable creations include a working hoverbike, an underground bunker, the world's longest motorcycle, a 71 mile per hour mobility scooter, and a motorized pram, many of which have broken Guinness World Records. Did you guys ever have those like Guinness World Book of Records like books growing up? Like they always used to have like super glittery covers, very stylish, and they'd just be full of records that didn't seem like they needed to be records, didn't seem like they needed to be recorded, but it was like trivia. It like got started as like bar trivia, hence why Guinness was like the big sponsor of it, right? Guinness, like the beer maker. We had one at work, but somebody walked off with it. What if you had the Guinness World Book of Record? What if you had the Guinness World Record for stealing the most Guinness World Record books? Or maybe just owning the most Guinness World Record books. Somebody's got to have that record. That's a very meta record, I gotta say. Originally trained as a plumber, Furs began uploading videos to YouTube in 2007, gained popularity for his inventive and often dangerous contraptions. Collaborated with a bunch of franchises, cool. Something German, 2025, awarded an honorary Doctor of Science degree in recognition of his contributions to public engagement with engineering and for inspiring interest in STEM fields. We love science communicators, don't we? Absolutely. All right, does this have a section on the bunker? Because I want to hear about the bunker. No, not really. But yeah, I've definitely seen this guy. Okay, in 2015, Furs constructed an underground bomb shelter beneath his garden as part of a request by Sky One to promote the series You, Me, and the Apocalypse. Okay, so it wasn't like doing it secretly. I thought he was doing it under the radar. He was being sponsored by British television. The bunker contained a corridor and a large main room, as well as a fully functional air filtration system, and has an entrance shaft concealed by a garden shed. Because I'd see him like digging in the garden shed, and I thought that that was him being sneaky about it. Alright, I've definitely seen some lady who's done something like this, though, where she did not have any sort of permit or anything like that. It was kind of just making a big tunnel under her house. And I think once there got to be enough public interest in that, like enough eyes on her, she eventually had to shut that down. Well, that's cool. I'm glad we learned. Da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Don't we love learning things here on the Vector Spaceman Show? I know I do. And to think, all of that just from conspiracy theories. Ace, I missed your message. You were saying your book. You're telling people it's like Harry Potter meets 1984. Why like Harry Potter, though? Oh, because of the folklore and mythology stuff. Okay, so we're talking like magic. Gotcha. Yeah, that could be cool. A little Cold War magic. Why not? A little clandestine wizardry. Why not? Gives very... What was that series? Shadowrun? I think that was it, where it's like modern fantasy sort of thing. Hidden worlds and what have you. Always a people pleaser. Always a crowd pleaser, those. There must be some sort of... How you say, like there must be a level of seriousness that a record needs in order to get into the Guinness World Book. I wonder what the cutoff is for that. I wonder if there's any VTuber world records. Let me look this up real quick. Guinness World Records. VTuber. Oh, here's something. Okay. Go back to the desk real quick. We got breaking news. And by breaking news, it's a story from last year. This says HoloLives, Shishiro Botan. That's the white lion, right? From HoloLive. That does she does like FPSs and other stuff. Gets Guinness World Record following Nissin stunt. Shishiro Botan has been awarded a Guinness World Record under the category Largest Packaged Food Sentence. What does that even mean? Largest Packaged Food Sentence. Following an event which saw HoloLive fans arranging 33,138 Nissin cup noodles to create giant letters of Shishiro's name. Okay, so sentence, we're literally talking words made with food packaging? All right, I feel like maybe I take it back. Maybe there isn't a level of seriousness that needs to go into these, because that's, like, what the heck is that? The stunt done alongside Nissin Foods was done in conjunction with Botan's birthday on September. The event was done earlier at Ikebukuro Sunshine City, great place by the way, where despite the bad weather, it still continued at Exhibition Hall B to achieve the record. At the venue, photo spots and large signs featuring the event's key visuals were featured, getting visitors excited. To achieve the record, participants were given 1 or 2 cases of cup noodles, each case containing 20 cups, and each person lined up the cup noodles in a designated location. So they had marked locations even. Really, the record is just for delegating tasks. It's also worth noting that Cover Corps CEO Motoaki Tanigo placed the last piece. Oh, sure. With this, Botan and Nissin Foods defeated the previous record holder, Pringles India, when they laid out 10,005 packs to form the phrase "Get It Back, India," aimed at showing support for India's cricket team during the 2019 Cricket World Cup. In a tweet, Bhutan has thanked her fans for the support for the event while stating that the full video coverage of the event will be released in September. Okay, yada, yada, yada. And that was last year. That was August of last year. Or September of last year? August of last year. Summer of last year. Wondering if it was the Nissan. You'd heard about this before? That's the first I've ever heard of it. But it begs the question, how easy would something like that be to top? We could do that. What's a Canadian food brand that we could get 35 to 40,000 packages of to then spell something out and get ourselves a world record? Canadian packaged foods. Like we could do ketchup chips or something like that, but that's kind of hard to... We need something a little more condensed. What's a Canadian staple here? Canadian iconic foods. So you want something that's like packaged. You don't want to like lay out poutine or butter tarts or something like that. You don't want something that's exposed. Coffee Crisp, maybe Coffee Crisp. They're teeny tiny. Do like the individually wrapped ones. Let's look this up. We're investigating. By golly, we're learning, we're investigating, we're doing our bestest. Let's go back to the laptop here. Let's see. Make sure that I am searching. All right, let's do some sums. Let's do some math here. Okay, so we're looking for Coffee Crisp. So Coffee Crisp is a Canadian chocolate bar. Nestle Canada. It's like a wafer thing. It's got chocolate and aerated coffee-flavored wafer. It's very good. Anybody who's ever had it will attest it's very good. But it's very much a Canadian thing. I'm pretty sure it's just a Canadian thing. Let me double check this right here. You've seen those at World Market? Yes. Coffee Crisp is a chocolate bar made in Canada. Yes. 100% ours. Okay, so that begs the question, however. Just want to try to, excuse me for a second, I'm just trying to pull up costs on this stuff without anything that's gonna dox me. That's the danger. Come on, throw me a bone here. Okay, this is what we want right here. This is what we want. 25 piece boxes of little individually wrapped Coffee Crisp. So you get 25 in a box. All right, good math to start with. Let's find out where we can buy these things. Haha, it's trying to dox me. That's why we switched screens. Okay, it looks like you can get 25 for about $7. $6 if you go to select retailers. Which probably means that if we're buying bulk, we could get it even cheaper. So let's use $6 as a benchmark to begin with. Because that's what I'm looking at right meow. $6. Canadian bucks, mind you. I usually take a once-a-year trip to World Market for Tim Tams, various milk chocolates, and whatever catches my eye. You gotta try some Coffee Crisp, Ghost. It's so good. So good. Alright, so now we do some sums. Now we do some mathematics. Let me pull up a calculator here. Alright, let's say we want to blow that record out of the water. Let's say we want 40,000 Coffee Crisp divided by 25 per box, which means we need 1,600 boxes of these, times $6 means we need just shy of 10 grand in order to pull it off. That can't be the hardest thing to do in the world, right? That's entirely feasible. If we got all the Canadian VTubers together to do something like that, steal a record away from the big guys, support local independent virtual streamer. Kind of a sick idea, Spaceman. Kind of a slick idea. Sick notion. Gonna put that in the joke bin. Let's see. Coffee Crisp, world record packaged food sentence. Maybe we'll do something with that one day. Like, eminently affordable. If we were enterprising, we could have planned to do that a month ago, and then we could have spelled out Go Blue Jays or something like that. Get some attention from it. You live and you learn. How did we get here, Space Cadets? That's the question. Did I forget to turn off my share screen? Sure did. There's a Spaceman on my screen. Bam. Let's go back to the station. Dabba 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 dabba. Gonna have to take a teeny tiny break in a little bit, but when we come back, I wanted to show you guys something I've been trying to figure out live 2D wise. It's something that I should be talking to like Alpine and Rig and like other folks who do live 2D work. Like I should be talking to them about it, trying to get some ideas, but I kind of want to figure it out on my own as well. So I might show you what I've been working on with that, trying to find a way to get multiple inputs to be like additive on a single parameter in live 2D, because usually they don't like you messing around with that. So I've been trying to cheat a bit by using like physics. I'm gonna have to see how that looks. Maybe we'll take a look at that once we come back from ads. Otherwise, I'd call that successful Wednesday stream. Good job, everybody. Glad I got to hear about Ace's cinematic aspirations and the book stuff. Got to hear about lasers from Kern. Quality return to streaming, must say. Oh, Ghost, you weren't here when we were talking about it. But speaking of ghosts and ghouls and goblins and Halloween-y type things. So last night, no, it's not over. No, I'm just killing a bit of time because we're going to have to take an ad in a minute. Just killing a bit of time. But Ghost, I went to see the Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein last night. Great movie. Really good movie. Would recommend. It's going to be on digital in like a couple weeks. Could have waited to see it there, but some stuff you just got to see on the big screen, you know? It's like Like I would have been kicking myself if I never saw Mad Max Fury Road on the big screen, or if I never saw Tron Legacy on the big screen. You know, there's some movies that maybe they're not, you know, the most high art or what have you, but they're definitely better on the big screen with your buds, with a bombastic sound blasting in your ear. By golly, that's the way to movies. Maybe that's why movies are my go-to entertainment medium. The spectacle of it all, you know? And then I get to watch all my fancy period dramas with the fancy costumes and the refined, elegant dialogue. I get to watch all that stuff on my own. Because good luck getting any of the Vector Space fam to go see, you know, the new Downton Abbey movie or something like that. No, I gotta make my own time for that. Any of you guys got interests? I'm sure everybody does. What's an interest of yours that, you know, it's just for you? None of your friends really get it. Like, I've got some very close buds that I've known effectively my whole life, that I'm still lucky enough to get to hang out with very frequently. And yet, and still, there's stuff that just, you know, things that they like that doesn't click for me, and things that I like that they just couldn't care less about. And yeah, fancy films is definitely one of them. You know what's odd? Like, growing up, I did not have a lot of artist friends either. It wasn't until we started doing streaming that we really started collaborating with and talking to other digital and conventional artists. Which has been great, because you get to learn things, you get to share things. At the risk of, you know, branching out. Oof. At the risk of making new relations. Oof. Perish the thought. Okay, we gotta run an ad, you guys. Let's head back to the desk. That was not the right thing I grabbed. Back to the desk. We're going to the desk. We're going Here we are. All right. Few minutes and we're going to be back. The Vector Spaceman show continues right after this. We're going to do a little behind the scenes stuff. Don't we love seeing some behind the scenes work? When we come back from some ads. Let me know what they're trying to hustle you with these days. We're always interested. The Vector Spaceman show continues right after this. Except for all you stunning space aces, of course. You just get to chill with me for a minute. I'm going to run to the washroom real quick. All right? You guys watch the station for me. Don't drink all the blue. We'll be right back. You guys can have a little blue, but not too much, because we don't want you to upset your stomachs. I'll be right back, all right? See you in a minute. Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Look, we're back. Okay, that's good, Ghost. You didn't drink all the blue. Skeletor, I'm gonna get you those Knuckles redeems once we come back from break. WB, thank you so much. Warner Brothers. Animaniacs up in here. Smile. Schmile. Where does that come from? The Schmile. Like, I first, oh, it looks like we're back from break. Awesome. We're back from break. I remember hearing like this. You are zany to the max, though. You're absolutely right. So Ghost posts smile here, and it just triggered this sound in my brain. Because there's a few people we know who say that in a very particular cadence, and I'm like, this has to be learned verbiage. Because it's so, you know, not to be, you know, disparaging. We're not putting anybody down. Nothing like that, you know. We love everybody. It's a very... It's a little obnoxious. the way it sounds sometimes. Smile. But don't tell nobody I said that. I got it from Palm and another Canadian. Exactly, like I hear Palm say it all the time. And God love her, but, you know, it could be a little grating sometimes. Can this be, or you want some orange? Karen, hold on. Just for you, we're gonna go into studio mode so I can see the back end here. We're gonna go into the... all my nested scenes. Gonna go to the background decorations nest so that I can find the orange dispenser so that I can manually move down the mask on the orange. There you go, Karen, you got a big gulp of orange. That one's just for you. Karen gets the orange. Hells yeah. Hells yeah. Hells yeah. Hells yeah. Where do I get that from? I get that from a PSP commercial. Do you guys remember those PSP commercials? The kind of marketing that no one would think to do these days. Where they had those like animated crackhead squirrels. Yeah. Fun frog fact, orange is my favorite color. Karen, there's so many friends of the show whose orange is their favorite color. It's just the sign of good taste. Sadly, no, Ghost, no, listen. Those PSP commercials were high art, all right? That was marketeering in an age where that still meant something. All right, the PSP is like a nut that you can play with outside. Let's not forget. Let's never forget. If it stays with you, then by golly. That's a success right there. That's a win. At least they released Mega Man powered up on the PSP. I never owned a PSP. I was too young to afford my own consoles. But I really like the look of the little, like, disc insert cartridges that they used, their little file format. Those are pretty cool. I have a wild theory that Canadians like orange so much because they miss the sun in the winter. It's interesting. It's interesting. We use orange in Canada for a lot of indigenous stuff. We use it in orange for our National Labor Party. We use orange for A&W, the restaurant chain. They feature a lot of orange. Canadian staples. I have no basis for this. No, it's a fair theory. It's a fair theory. Let's be honest. We do miss the sun in the winter. I can't deny that. You miss your A&W? So A&W, for you guys who don't know, is a Canadian restaurant chain, independent of the American one. It's like how Japanese 7-Eleven became independent of American 7-Eleven and then eventually absorbed American 7-Eleven into what is now the global 7-Eleven headquartered in Japan. But I don't even know what like American A&W is about. Up here we've got the burger family. You know? We got the teen burger, we got the mama burger, the papa burger. The uncle burger. Various, you know, slight alterations in what each of those mean. But there's a burger for all kinds. And dem onion rings, though? And a frosty mug of A&W root beer? What's not to love? See, I love stories like that where something gets so popular somewhere that it can afford to like split off and do its own thing. Only place where you get cheese curds, huh? Like you can get poutine at a A&W, but I would never think to because we've got so many other places that you could get better poutine, you know? Skeletor, you made a Knuckles redeem. And so I think it's time that we honor that. For the misophobic amongst us, here's your warning to cover your ears for a minute. We're gonna turn on station music, and we're gonna give you the Knuckles redeem. All right, it's been a minute since we let loose here, so I'm sure we got some ammo in the can. Here it comes, all right? The main volley. This is for you guys. Ooh, yeah. That's some nice crunch. That's some nice crunch right there. Now I'm gonna give you the thumbs, right? The old 1-2. Here it comes. Pop, pop, just like that. Now here come the tips. Just the tips. Ooh, yeah, the tips sound great. Both sides. I can see it redding out on the microphone, so that's perfect. All right. Showstopper right here. Let me give you some elbows. Spaceman's twin fractured elbows. Here comes the left side. The strong side. I saw a couple little pops, so hopefully that came through. That's your Knuckles redeem. Just want to double check the Knuckles redeem. Okay, the Knuckles redeem can only be done once every half hour. Good. Because I can't do those one after another. Hope you enjoy, Skeletor. Hope it was everything you imagined. The town near me had an A&W/KFC combo that would make you poutine even though it wasn't on the menu. So that's an interesting combo because KFC, also very popular in Canada. And did you know that from like the mid-80s until his death, Colonel Harlan Sanders actually lived in Mississauga, which is like just outside of Toronto here. A local boy, if you will. He wasn't Canadian, but he retired to Canada to oversee his Canadian KFC franchises. There's a little KFC trivia for you right there. Wow, all your friends with your fast food knowledge. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Expected the Ugandan knuckles clicking? No. Listen, that's disrespectful is what that is, you know? Could we pull off a sick Ugandan knuckles accent? Absolutely, but it's uncouth. It doesn't elevate our talents, you know? It belittles them even. I'll say it. Not the kind of spaceman that we strive to be, you know? Falling into rote, ethnic joking like that. No, sir. No, sir. We can do better than that. We must do better than that. Who would we be if we didn't strive to do better than that? Not a spaceman, that's for sure. Ad Astra, Space Cadets, ever skyward. Keep on moving, keep on improving. Do better. You know what is interesting? Like, I think there's been like 2 examples where my interactions with VTubers have made me a better person, I would say. So we're thankful for that. We're definitely thankful for that. Anybody who's been around for a minute would probably be familiar with friend of the show, Pretty Night Lori. Our first live action character in the Vector Spaceman skits and specials, and also just a local outfit coordinator. She does all sorts of like cosplay events and things like that, and what have you. Stunning outfit, stunning coordinator. Really nice person as well. But I had a dream one time. You know her through Palm? I met Lori at the same event that Palm was also there. I wouldn't say I met Lori through Palm, but I met Lori because Lori is a local VTuber or VTuber fan, right? So we all kind of run in the same city, as it were. So you meet people. That's not the point. The point was, I had a dream one time, and in this dream, I was talking to people or what have you, and Lori was there. Lori wasn't like crucial to what was happening in the dream or what have you, but Lori was there, and I was talking to somebody, and I used the the R word, the R slur. It's not something that I use in my day-to-day conversation now. But I use that in the dream, and I remember in the dream, Lori being, like, disappointed in me for using that word. And I remember waking up and thinking, yeah, man, like, that's not a cool thing to say, right? Sure, sometimes you want to use language as a weapon, but, you know, you don't have to, use every word in your arsenal. You don't have to lower yourself and put others down in that sort of way. And that's when I made like a conscious effort to be like, you know what, we can remove that from the lexicon, from the repertoire, you know? All because my brain had imagined how disappointed Lori would have been in me if we had known, if she had known we were saying something like that. Just a little aside story. Sometimes your brain be working like that, you know? Remember, every phone is foldable at least once. True. Fair fact. I'm trying to think of the last time that I had a good experience. Dreams are funny like that, yeah. But sometimes they can affect real-world change, you know? Dreams are messages from the deep, to quote Dune, you know? Here, let's step out of the station here. We can go back to, you know what? We can just stay back here. That's fine, that's fine. We can hang up behind the desk for a while. But no, I do feel like interacting with a lot of the local VTubers and the international VTubers that we've gotten to meet with, like, has made a marked improvement on the way we live and the way we comport ourselves, you know? And that's pretty cool when you think about it. That's pretty cool. Had so many dreams lately that affected the whole rest of my day. That's good though, right? I mean, it's just a jumbled up mishmash of things you're still thinking about and subconsciously trying to work out and piece together and all that, right? Dreams are bonkers. Dreams tend to be bonkers. Has anybody ever had like a lucid dreaming experience where you're like hyper conscious of being in a dream state? I've never experienced that myself. I've only ever heard that described. Oh, you have, Ghost? What's that like? You get up to cool dream adventures? See, I feel like it would suck if you were able to lucid dream, but not affect any sort of change in the dream with that lucid state. You'd just be a very conscious observer. Every time I realize I'm dreaming, I wake up. Maybe I've had that happen. I might have had that happen. Sometimes I'll like scare myself awake, or like if there's anything in the dream that like would be harmful, like fall off a cliff head first or something like that, then you know you'll wake up right away because your brain doesn't have any way to like process that. So maybe it's kind of like that, where it's like, okay, I know this is a dream, and now I don't have any way to, you know, understand that, so the body has to wake itself up. It's like, now what do we do? Often it's a night terror. Oh, geez, all right, this doesn't sound very good at all. That I realize I'm having and can change what's... Okay, well, that's good. You can change what's happening. Lucky I've never had that. Night terrors, sleep paralysis, stuff like that. Never experienced that. Fingers crossed, thumbs up, knocking on wood, you know. Hopefully. Hopefully we keep that streak going. I think I've said on the show before, and it's, I guess, kind of related to spooky season and Halloween and what have you. I used to have like recurring dreams growing up of mummies. Of being like chased by them. And chase is sort of a generous term because they really just kind of shamble. But of like being trapped in spaces where you gotta like outrun them, get away, labyrinthian sort of environments. And I think a lot of it had to do with those Brendan Fraser movies, right? The Mummy, The Mummy 2, with The Rock, the third one, which I can't really remember, but I think there was a hot air balloon at one point. Not the point. Point is, those left a stark impression upon a wee vector space boy, as it were. And that became a recurring nightmare scenario for a while. Now, not so much. I think mummies are pretty cool. In a conceptual sense, you know. As far as the living dead go, they do kind of suck. Just all wrapped up and shambling around. Not that impressive, you know? We could do better. We could do better than that. That's why they invented fast zombies. They're like, we need the living dead for a new, extreme generation. Keep that in mind, Ace. Keep that in mind when you're pitching when you're pitching film and TV ideas. They're gonna make you keep trying to latch on to today's youth. You're gonna have to try to understand kids these days. Man, can you imagine getting into the mind of the kind of people they're making nowadays? Wow. The good dreams, the ones that affect the rest of my day, I don't really want to change anything. Well, yeah, why would you? Those are good dreams. The best dreams are the ones where it's like, ah, shoot, I gotta wake up? All of a sudden there's a real world and I remember that I have a job or like responsibilities. What a bummer, right? What a buzzkill. I've got it in mind. Most of my creative ideas are made from my... Oh, that's fun. Do you guys do like dream journaling or anything like that? It's not explicitly dream stuff for me, but every day I keep a record of like, I jot down little notes of like stuff that I've done that day or stuff that I've dreamt the night before, what little I can remember, that sort of thing. It's a big worry for Spaceman to ever have like dementia or something like that, you know? Not that I'm anywhere near the demographic that should be worried about something like that, but you know, I've seen it in older family members and things like that. It looks like it sucks. And you want to do what you can to, you know, mitigate, avoid, keep your brain active. Write your dreams down if they're interesting. Well, the worst thing is, like, there's something about tired confidence where it's like, oh, I'll remember that in the morning. Or you go to bed thinking about something, it's like, oh, I should remember to do that tomorrow or something like that. And you never do. You never do. That's why you gotta write stuff down. And thankfully, everybody's got a little handheld computer now, so it's right there. You can just jot down little notes. No, but I have done problem solving in my dreams. Like if I can't figure out what's wrong with something, I've figured out. I've had that happen. I've had that happen when I'm like doing programming problems. Like if I'm trying to get some system to work and I can't figure it out that day or something, sometimes I figure it out while I'm sleeping. And I'll wake up thinking, oh, I should try that. And then I try that, and sometimes it works out. The good times it works out. Sometimes I come up with a creative idea while falling asleep and pray I dream about it because that'd be rad, and it never works. It never works. If I'm super, super duper tired, sometimes I'll have like how to describe it. Let's say sometimes I'm falling asleep and I'll think of like melodies and tunes and stuff like that, and I always think, ooh, I should develop that. I should do something with that. Again, in the morning, you know? That's harder to jot down though. You need to like start recording yourself, humming a tune or something like that. That's what I ought to do. That's what I ought to do. Yeah, creative ideas. Just hoping that it stays with you, and it never does. But that's okay. Because that creative spark's still there. You'll have more ideas. The best ideas come exactly when you need them. Sometimes because it's a matter of necessity. That's deadlines for you. Spaceman used to be a very much a get stuff done right on the deadline kind of person. Any of you guys like that as well? Or are you actual planners, you actual go-getters? I wish we could be like that, but not very often that we exhibit that sort of quality. That's why it's so hard to get the specials done. Because we'll delegate exactly as much time as we need to get it done basically a day beforehand or 2 days before. Worst case scenario was we rendered the video out the day of. And that's why we had to force ourselves to rethink how to do these. Be like, all right, we gotta slow things down a bit here. You're killing yourself, Spaceman. Like plans, but often it's a list of stuff that doesn't happen, so I've gotten good at improvising. Nice, nice. We'll do it live, as they say. Have you ever thought about doing, like, streaming yourself, Ghost? I know you mod for a whole lot of streamers. And that you watch a lot of Twitch stuff, but have you ever thought about doing streaming yourself? Because if you're good at improvising and just doing stuff like off the cuff, then maybe you'd be good at it. Who knows? Get yourself a little model. Oh, you've done a couple streams? I haven't seen any. That's my bad. Look at me not paying attention. What sort of streams you do? You just do gaming stuff? Used to love improv when I was high. Improv, the thing about improv is, improv sucks so much when it's bad. It's very funny, very good stuff when it's good. But the divide between the stuff that's good and the stuff that's bad, it's a huge gulf. We're talking Springfield Gorge levels of gulf here. But I remember growing up watching like the Whose Line Is It Anyway? Like I used to always love that show. But that's edited around stuff, so you don't really, it makes it seem a lot more fluid. Like everything's like bat, 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 one after another, back to back, great ideas, nonstop, that sort of thing. You don't get any of the dead air. It's either the funniest thing ever or it makes you want to vomit. I know. Nothing worse than somebody who thinks they're good at improv. These theater kids, man. To be fair, there's a lot of stuff that's worse than people who think they're good at improv. That's a dramatic exaggeration for the point of hyperbole, but you get what I mean. You get what I mean. I was only able to do it on Friday mornings due to work, so now I just collab with people. Ah. That is a rough time zone. I feel like even Friday evenings is a rough time zone. Because it's like, shouldn't you be out doing stuff with your buds? Maybe with a lady friend? Stuff like that. Out living. But then, of course, I forget that there's a whole demographic of Twitch viewers who ain't really got a whole lot going on. So, of course, there's a market for Friday night streams. Especially as you get into the winter times. Can't go out as much. There's snow on the ground. It's peak streaming season, you guys. Random little games like Untitled Goose Game. That's a fun looking one. I would love to more theater fans in my life who want to be actors so I can have them film with me. Vector Spaceman was a theater youth. That's right. You know what I was thinking about the other day? Real talk, real spit. If I might be real with you, Space Cadets, if I might be really real for a minute, if I might pull the mic up here and get close and bring it in, Space Cadets. Like, I've been thinking about why has Spaceman wanted to do any sort of, like, performance at different points in his life, you know? Because I can tell you, the first time that I ever really got into like acting as a Vector Space Boy, it was when the Vector Space fam had like moved towns. So I had to say bye to a whole lot of my friends. I was all alone, just with a couple of members of the Space fam. In a new town where I didn't know nobody. I'm an impressionable young youth. And that's when I started doing theater and stuff like that. Started acting, started getting hoop dreams, as it were. About, man, wouldn't it be cool to be an actor? That sort of thing. A few years later, the Space fam moved back to the place that we had left. Moved back to the city. Now suddenly I've got all my old friends back. How fortuitous. How unheard of. Unprecedented. Miraculous even. At which point I kind of let acting and all that slide. It kind of fell out of my life. Years later, people start getting real jobby jobs. People start getting girlfriends and fiancés and what have you. The boys, the Vector Space fam, your boyos, they just got less time for one another, you know? So you start seeing your old buddies less often as you grow. At which point, we started getting into streaming. Again, a performant sort of medium. Playing a spaceman. Chit-chatting. Doing the skits and specials, very much directorial. Very much acting in a sense. And just this week I was thinking, like I'd finally started to put that together where it was like, okay, there have been different points in my life where I've felt like isolated by myself sort of thing. And I have compensated for that by doing some form of performant art, you know? Stage acting, VTubing, what have you. Other stuff, actual, like the fashion shows and stuff that Lori had us dressed up for, you know? Get out there, Spaceman. Strut your stuff, as it were. That's not something that I had really been able to nail down, like be cognizant of, until very, very recently. And so it makes me wonder sometimes, if we were to see any sort of big change in Spaceman's day-to-day life, you know, would we lose, maybe not lose, but would we let that performant drive slip away again, you know? One would like to think no, because there's still so much that we'd love to do. Is it a matter of when we're not pleased with who we are in the IRL, that we compensate, that we try to be someone else, that we look to characters and roles for meaning, for purpose, for identity? Something to think about. Something I think about. trying to gaslight my family members into thinking they've always wanted to be actors so I can help with my creative get help with my creative endeavors. Growing up, like we had a handheld camcorder. Like the fam had a handheld like camcorder, like one of those like digital 8 tape camcorders and what have you. And I used to rope friends into making like home movies all the time. So there's always been that directorial drive there and that creative drive there. Definitely. I think it's one of those, and I think it was pretty recently that I was quoting this as well. Very valid. Thank you, Ghost. Thank you, Ghost. I'm proud of my little introspection, you know? Every now and then you get pleased with, you know, the ability to assess yourself, the good and the bad. But I remember I was, there's this film called The Disaster Artist. And The Disaster Artist is a biopic about the making of the film The Room, starring Tommy Wiseau. Starring, directed by, and produced by Tommy Wiseau. That classic, infamous, bad movie, right? But in the self-awareness is important. I think so. I think so. That model is up. This model right here, how? Thank you, Frost. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Vector Spaceman Show. I'm your host, Vector Spaceman. Let me show you around. Da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Oh, wow, our latest and greatest Space Cadet. Welcome to Harbor Station. We're so glad to have you here. Oh my God, we actually passed the point for another Knuckles redeem. I'll give it to you. Just give me a sec. Let me show you around. Welcome to the station. We are a self-produced, independent virtual streamer, a VTuber, if you will. We're going to space. Here, you want to go to space? Let me pop open the airlock for you. We're going to space, you guys. Zoop, zoop, zoop. Get in the airlock. Hop on in. Come on, there's room for two. I'm making space here. We're wasting time. No? All right. Some other time then, fine. Let's go back. Zoop, 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 zoop. Gave you the chance. Called you up to the big leagues, and you blew it. You had one shot, one opportunity. Making space. Well, we do make space in the sense that everything here is created by yours truly. From the model down to the backgrounds, down to everything that you see, the Vector Spaceman Show is a self-produced, independent operation. We do musical content, we do animation work, we do gaming every now and then, programming, all sorts of fun stuff. It's an opportunity for us to learn new software, hang with friends of the show, even the blue slushy. Here, let's go back to the desk here. Da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Make sure you grab yourself a nice cold cup of blue with your cadet credits. When you do, you'll notice that the levels on the slushy machine change. Wow, another little trick. Oh, there it goes. We're almost out, you guys. You guys let me know if that gets empty, because we can refill it. We can refill it. Have yourself a nice big gulp. But thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Vector Spaceman. This is our show. We stream weekly and whenever we can. We do all sorts of fun stuff. What we're probably most known for is full-length animated skits and specials featuring Spaceman and friends, fellow virtual streamers. Check it out over on the YouTube page. And hey, don't forget to follow us on Blue Sky and right here on Twitch as well. And if we're being 100% honest, yeah, we're over on Twitter too, but we just don't advertise it as much because, you know. But how are you doing today, Frost? Hope you're having a fine Wednesday, my dude. Ah! That's for you, that's just for you. Hope you're living out your dreams. Hope you're doing your best. Hope you're kicking it, making it through the week. Now, I believe you asked for a Knuckles redeem, so here we go. Misophoniacs, cover your ears. Here comes the volley. Oh, that's good crunch right there. All right, let me give you some thumbs. Okay, the thumbs didn't recharge. That's my bad. Sometimes you just get duds. Let me give you the tips. Here come the tips. Ooh, yeah. Crunchy tips. And the right side. Okay. The pièce de résistance. Let me give you some elbow cracks. Here they come. Ooh, a little bit. Here's the other side. Pretty sure that one came through. I saw the level spike. Thanks for the redeem. Snap, crackle, vector. We're going to avoid any insinuation that Vector Spaceman is not a young, spry, youthful man. It just so happens that we have that we fractured both of our elbows, okay? That's all it is. That's all it is. But thanks for tuning in, Frost. What brings you here? How did you stumble across the Vector Spaceman show? This is kind of wild space here. It's not like we do a whole lot of advertising or anything like that. You just having yourself a fine Wednesday and you trip and fall into the station? We appreciate you being here. Ghost, what were we talking about? What were we talking about before we got to meet our latest and greatest space cadet? We were talking about The Room. We were talking about The Disaster Artist. The Disaster Artist, the biopic about the making of The Room. There's a line in that film where the cast members are like gathered around, eating lunch, talking about what a terrible production this is, and why are we even doing this? And there's one actress who says, you know, this is what we do. We do it because this is what we love. And even the worst day on a movie set is better than anything else. And that, you know, that resonates with me a lot as well, Ace. Because I don't think you have to work too hard to convince people to be in productions like that. You know, that's pretty common aspiration. To quote Rush, to quote Geddy Lee, living in the limelight, the universal dream, you know? For those who wish to seem. Those who wish to be. Must put aside the alienation, get on with the fascination, the real relation, the underlying dream. A little Canadiana for you. And as we continue our, you know, underemployed era, that's what we got to find, you know? Something that speaks to us. Something that allows us to create and express. Either that or we got to get like 10,000 more followers right quick. Because we are not a full-time streaming show, that's for sure. As quixotic as that might be, as romantic as that might seem, that's kind of a 1 in a million. You hold on to that. You hold on tight to that, if and when it comes. That's why I always tell Palm. And everybody else who has, you know, managed to make something of themselves. Vis-a-vis streaming. It's too good to be true. You gotta ride it out as long as you can. Because surely, like all things, it'll be gone one of these days. And just think, like, how soon we forget even the biggest VTubers, you know? it's not a medium that is built for longevity or reminiscence. Like, there's always a new wave of folks coming along, taking their shot at things, taking a crack at it, you know? Even if not full time, still appreciate the time you put into it. You gotta appreciate the time you put into it. One of these days, we'll finally bite the bullet. And we'll do the one thing that the Vector Spaceman show needs to actually be worth watching, which is to get a full-time co-host. The only problem with that is, who could you even trust to do something like that? You know, it sucks having seen so many VTubers get burned with collab partners and stuff like that, and group partners, group mates, and what have you. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Or y'all know the kind of thing that I'm talking about. I do, of course you do. The problem is, nobody in the Vector Space fam really knows that we do this. So we can't really trust. And here's the thing, even if they did, we couldn't, it would be an odd thing to ask, like, a buddy to be like, hey, do you want to be my co-host on my show, sort of thing? Because, you know, there's so much. One misstep, one false move, and it's so easy to expose yourself. That's a rough thing, right? Versus if you wanted to bring on like an established VTuber to be like a designated co-host, something like that. Like somebody else from somebody else's channel. Like, I always appreciate what the Nova Swarm does, having their trio. Big shout outs to the Nova Swarm. A trio of self-produced independent virtual streamers. I love what they do, having the ability to do like a solo stream or a duo or a trio all on the same channel. Or another one that I've seen, I think does it real well, is Sigrid and Bird. Sigrid and Bird is like such a great duo of streamers. And we're self-aware enough to know that like that is something that would definitely elevate the show. Having somebody that we could riff with constantly, We try not to have a whole lot of dead air to begin with, but, every now and then it does happen. And sometimes we run out of stuff to talk about. One of my buddies just streams with himself as two different characters. Maybe you could do that. So what's cool is we know somebody like that. Big ups to Alpine Showtime. Alpine will stream as multiple characters when they're doing like actual fancy streams. Yeah, Alpine will do that sometimes with like the Galvanis, or with Big Guy, or any of his new characters, any of their new characters, like the witch, I forget her name, or the dog, I forget its name. But a whole cast of characters. And then, of course, Alpine's voice for Verdana, or for Casper. Depending on which Alpine we're rocking with that day. A robot companion that uses TTS. The text-to-speech is very cool. We shouldn't get into the habit of using, like... Do you remember when, Actually, I think it might still be the case. Does Palm's companion Michael still use a Patrick Warburton voice? Like, I feel like we should be getting away from that. Like, that's not cool. Like, as funny as it is to make Michael say stuff in, like, Gilbert Gottfried voice, or, like, things like that, that's not really cool. If you were to build a voice model yourself, or use a paid one, nothing wrong with that. But using one that's, like, built off of a celebrity's voice, that doesn't really sit right with me, you know? You know, we can all improve, I'm sure. And listen, it's hard to deny that it's a great voice. It's a great voice. Patrick Warburton, hey Peter, or that was a little too high pitched, but you get what I'm going for. Hey Jerry, what he played Putty on Jerry on Seinfeld, right? Or oh, he was Kronk from Emperor's New Groove. No, by all accounts, it does make sense. Man's got a very distinct voice. And it's a really great voice, and it is funny to hear Michael say stuff in that voice. But is Michael any less cool if he's got, you know, a distinct Michael voice? I don't think so. Who knows? Who knows? Makes sense. I can understand that. Yeah, because it's like, well, it's identical to, you know, the sort of thing we're running into with, you know, AI image generation and what have you these days. We're skirting the lines of using other people's works and likeness and what have you. That's not cool. What does that have to do with anything? No. He's got a point. I don't think I can do a very good Patrick Warburton, but you can tell I'm trying to do a Patrick Warburton. So in that case, communication is still made. We've still made our point. That might work though, Ghost. And by extension, Ace. The idea of doing multiple characters, but I'll be honest. I'm best when I'm riffing off of somebody, when it's a tete-a-tete, when it's a back and forth, not pre-planned, you know? Sometimes, like when I see Alpine do it, it can meander a bit, I find. It's hard to... I feel like it's hard enough to be spontaneous and stay on a bit with a good rhythm as one person, let alone trying to do the work of two people. I feel like it's hard to get someone with an unexpected zinger, you know, when you're doing the setup and the punchline. Viewer calls? I love viewer calls. So we actually did do viewer calls one time. Let's go to the podcast room, you guys, real quick. Come with me. We don't often get to go here a whole lot. Let's go to the podcast booth. Here we are. I'm a little off space here. How can I move myself around? Can I zoom in here? Zoom. That's to the TV. Podcast right. Here we are. Okay. That's the whole desk. That's not what I'm trying to move around. Oh, you know what? Everything might have gotten louder because we've got the... We probably have a doubled audio input here for some reason. We haven't used this room in a while. It's my bad. But we used to do viewer call-ins, and so we'd have a little who's on the line and stuff like that. And it'd be like, hey, join the Discord. Because we had to call Discord. So we would be like, Discord in the chat. And does that still work? It does not. Okay, that's good because we don't really want to give that out. And what's this one do? Oh, look, we'll be right back. That's a cool little transition. That's a cool little overlay. I like that. We should use that more often. And then we can do snappy edits and go over to our guest host, bam, who is not there right now. But yeah, this is a good room for doing stuff like that. I'm a fan. What's this button do? Ooh, it pulls out. Anyways, let's go back to the station here. Sound should be back to normal now. Excellent. But we did that a couple times where we'd let viewers like call in to talk about stuff, and I love doing that, but here's the thing. Risky business, right? If you're just gonna let anybody call in, that's how you get Tom Green's house, okay? That's how you get the granddaddy of podcasting and live streaming. That's how you get people calling in, talking about mudkips, talking about barrel rolls. Another Canadian, by the way, local boy as well, Mr. Tom Green. So that's why when we did it the first couple times, it was like limited to people like other streamers that we knew. We've never done one that was like completely open to the world. Maybe one of these days, I'm sure it would be great, but we'd be taking a big risk, wouldn't we? Also why you don't do Jackbox with Reddit. Exactly, especially anything where like you're giving an audience member the ability to put something on screen. Like when somebody types something nasty in the chat, we can remove it immediately. But if somebody's doing like a Jackbox game and they're like drawing something obscene, now we gotta turn the screen off until the game's over, basically. You know, because not everybody respects the rules of streaming. Yeah, that's why you only Jackboxes with your close friends and compatriots and contemporaries. Same goes for giving people the microphone. Oh yeah, dude, Jackbox rules. We did a collab Jackbox actually. Stream just last week over on friend of the show Roshan Galaxy's channel. Check out Roshan, and you could probably still check out that stream in the VODs on Roshan's channel. We had a really good time. It was me, it was Jammy, Galaxy Jamwich, Ellie from the Nova Swarm, Alpine Showtime, Roshan, two people that I just met that night. It was Sour Plum and Starmain, who are also VTubers, but that was the first time I had met them, and another friend of the show, Ava. Love playing it at parties, hoping we play it on Halloween. It's a great, yeah, it's so great for like getting people around a TV, and so many of them are built for like playing on your phone, which is perfect. It's perfect. Who doesn't love a little Jackbox? And there's so many of them, but we played the new, so I guess it was last Thursday, almost a week ago now. It was the release of the Jackbox Party Pack 11, and all the games in that new pack, bangers. With the exception maybe of there's one game where you're like making noises. It's like an audio-based game, and I think that one works best when everybody's like at their own computer. That one works best over like a Discord or over like a Skype call or something like that, right? because you want to be able to mute yourself from the call so you can make your noises. Like if you were trying to do that in a house or something, everybody would have to like go to their own wing or whatever, their own little designated area, do their recordings, and then come back. So I don't think that one works as well in person. But all the other ones, great entries, great entries. And I hope we get to do collab like that again sometime soon, because we had a good time. Rashawn liked having us, so I'm sure there'll be more opportunities. You was lurking in the chat, Ghost. It was a good time. Good time. Plus, like half the people there are artists, so like all the drawing games and stuff like that just turn out great. Just turn out awesome. Yeah, can you believe it? They've had 11 of these freaking things so far. What's you guys' favorite Jackbox game? Let us know. I think I'm still partial to like one of the OGs. Like I still really love Quiplash. Just coming up with dumb stuff at the drop of a hat. For any dumb reason in your head. TKO, yeah, we like a little drawn one. The fact that you can buy the shirts you make. Do they like give you a link? They'll like drop ship a custom printed tee? That's so cool. I've never played TKO, I've only seen it played. What's the rapping one? It's like Battle City Rhymes or something like that. That one's fun too. It's rare that they come up one. Madverse City, that's what it was. Yeah, I like that one too. It's rare they come up with one that like isn't great. Whatever that one where you're like making jokes on the cruise ship, that one never really hit for me. If there's a weaker one in this new pack, it's one where you're doing like interrogations for a crime. But the only problem with that was that we, as a group, didn't all know each other well enough to like ask some of the questions. So that was our fault, really. Not so much a fault with the game. Definitely not an icebreaker type game. I'll say that. Presentation ones, yeah, where you get to. I like the one where I'm not sure if it's the same all the time, but there was one where they had us like design a product or something like that, and then like pitch it. Almost like a Dragon's Den sort of thing, Shark Tank-esque sort of thing going on. Anyways, you can tell that I'm a big fan of those games. And they're perfect for collabs. It's true. It's so true. So let's make a list here, Space Cadets. Let's make a list on my handy dandy scrap of paper. Scrap o' paper. Run out of scrap of paper. Fine, we'll do it digitally. We'll live moss. Co-host. Discord. We're writing down things that would actually improve the show. Stuff that we could actually make manifest. Companion critter. Thing is, if we wanted a companion critter, we could just ask Jammy to come on the show. We don't need like a Michael or like some bouncy little animal friend or something like that. Eon, how you doing? Hope you're having a good Wednesday, my dude. Ah. Yeah, the problem with Jammy is that Jammy's just too perfect of a streamer. And yet is still a human being behind the mask. Which means she has to hold down a job. That's the worst part. Because what Jammy should be doing is just being a sandwich all the time. Because it's one of the best characters that I've seen in VTubing. Yup. And then she could be our co-host. But she gotta go work retail. So that's a bummer. That's a bummer. How's your Wednesday going, Eon? We're writing down ways to improve the show. Seeking out a co-host. Getting a proper Discord channel going. Little gimmicks like that. Once you have the Discord, then you can do community events, i.e. Jackbox games and such. See, it all comes together. Throw your best ideas at it. Alright, we are going to be forced to run an ad because that's how these things go. Here, let's head back to the desk, shall we? Dabba 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 da. Help yourself to a cup of blue while you're here, Eon. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're living your Wednesday dreams. What are you up to tonight? Let us know. We're going to take a big fat break for a big fat few minutes. And then we're going to be right back at it. Here at the Vector Spaceman Show. Don't go nowhere. Don't adjust that dial. Don't press anything on your taskbar. Don't update to Windows 11. Don't refresh your page. Don't go to your favorites tab. Don't, stick around. Grab food. Okay, that's a great thing to do. Grab food, because we're going to be back in a few short minutes. The Vector Spaceman Show continues right after this. Don't go nowhere, you guys. If you can believe it, we're running ads again. I do want to show off some of the live 2D stuff I'm trying to get to work, so maybe we will do that once we come back from ads. This is how I find out I don't have turbo anymore. Oh no! Sadness in the chat. I'm feeling for you, Ace. I don't know if you can hear us, but I'm feeling for you. And if all you can see us is in that little corner of the screen while the ad plays, then know that we're here for you. And we'll be here for you when we come back from breaks in 2 more minutes. Now I can't say I love Twitch Turbo like I usually do. It's a bummer. It's a bummer. We'll just be more expressive. So you know that we're thinking of you. I wonder who else is streaming tonight. Let's take a quick gander, shall we? Game Grotto's streaming. Cammy's streaming. Sour Plum is streaming. It just wouldn't be a stream if we didn't raid out, you know? Not that we're raiding just yet, but you try to get ahead of these things. Check some social meteors real quick. People be talking about social media, but what about them social meteors? And the asteroids just get too close. Nothing like parasocial space rocks. We almost back. We almost back. That looks like a good completion of ads. Well done, everybody. What sort of ads you getting? What did they hit you with, Ace? You can't even love Twitch Turbo anymore. That gregarious space debris, yeah, it gets too close, it gets too clingy. Magnetic even. Them ferrous space rocks. Tobacco-free Florida ad. No more tobaccers in Florida. Save your lungs. Do your best. You didn't get hit? You didn't get hit by ads? Way to go, Skeletor. Sometimes you just get lucky. Sometimes you just get lucky, and you just gotta roll with it. You just gotta bask in the moment. You know? We take those wins when we get them.
Wow.
Wow, right? Wow. Probably one of the more useless redeems. But we do love a little wow. But you know what? Spaceman, you're kind of coming off hypocritical here, you know? You're gonna judge people for using, you know, voice models of celebrities and what have you. And then you're gonna have an Owen Wilson wow sound redeem? You're absolutely right, Spaceman. We should take that down. You're absolutely right. Be the change that you want to see in the world. You got it, Skeletor. You're right. Good for making us look inward tonight, Skeletor. You just got the last wow. So long, Owen. Take that one right off the board. Here, we'll do... Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. You know what? You know what? That, yes. So distinguished, so magnanimous. Good for you, Spaceman. Good for you. Doing good. I'm gonna put this one back on the board so I can redeem it. We haven't had this one on the board for a long time. We got a Christian Bale one as well. Here it comes.
Oh, good for you!
I love that. I love that sound. Christian Bale is at your party. He's alone, eating all your queso dip, talking on your phone. What can we put back on the board then? What can we put back on the board for some funsies? We can put air horn back on the board. Anybody want an air horn? Anybody who's feeling an air horn, you can let that one blast. There it is. DJ Vector Spaceman. I got a bunch of books that were supposed to come in today, but they got delayed. Oh, rough. I have got a adapter for my phone so that it will work in my car. That's supposed to show up tomorrow, and if it doesn't, I'm gonna be mad because I don't want to run out of battery if I'm driving into the city. Sometimes shipping gets delayed. How whiny of us, though, right? How entitled of us to live in this wondrous age of freaking limitless access to product and oftentimes next day shipping. But when we get the tiniest little inconvenience, such a tragedy. The end of the world. It's probably because I have like 50 pounds of books. Well, that might do it. That might do it. Got your Game Boy and 3DS in today, though. Let's go. Classic gaming. Are you talking like Game Boy Game Boy? Like green and gray OG Game Boy? Are we talking Game Boy Color? Are we talking Game Boy Advance? Game Boy Advance SP? Game Boy DMG. What does DMG stand for? That monstrous Game Boy. What does the DMG stand for? I swear Amazon 2-day shipping ruined people, right? It's like, remember when you had to like check your mailbox for packages? Sometimes you had to go down to the post office? Oh, Dot Matrix game, okay. The OG. You know what's a really, really cool product? And I'm kind of tempted to pick it up. Take a look at this, you guys. Take a look at this bad boy right here. We're going back to the desk so that we can take a look at the laptop because I want to show you guys this. It's the Lego Game Boy set. It's such a great model, like a really great model. As a display piece, kind of bangs. Like, I know that there are like Lego investors who will like swipe up sets that they know or expect are gonna like valuate in price. And this is kind of the only time where I was thinking like, ooh, like a year from now, this ain't gonna be worth, you know, $80 Canadian. Once this goes out of circulation, like that's something people are still gonna want to buy. Like you tuck a couple of these away, and in a few years, that's, you know, that's a return on investment. And then what do? You take that money, you use it to buy more Lego sets, and then you're stuck. Now you're one of those people. I got 2 of them, 2 Game Boys. Learning how to, hardware mod them, that's cool. And flip them that way. But I'm gonna ultimately mod one and keep it for myself because they're cool. So are you like taking like the old Game Boy chassis and putting in like, effectively, what are those like you can buy ones that are like preloaded with like a bajillion games on them, right? Like all the Game Boy and Game Boy Color libraries and stuff like that, but you just want it in the OG Game Boy case? Is that the idea? Someone actually used the Lego Game Boy set as a shell to genuinely play Game Boy games in, apparently. See, that's very cool. We love that. That's super cool. New shells, backlit screens so you don't have to play at lamplight, and maybe an amplifier speaker. So sorry, new shells. What are you actually purchasing then? You're basically just buying it for the circuit board? The underlying circuit board? With new screen, new buttons, new shell? Okay, so you're just buying the hardware that can play a Game Boy game, and then you're not even preloading it with like the games or whatever. Yeah, I feel like how because there's some old tech that's like so available that it doesn't become super expensive to pick up. Are old Game Boys like that? Like, I feel like if you're just going to be ditching the shell and the buttons, and you're just basically strip mining it for the internal circuitry, then couldn't you just buy something that mimics the internal circuitry? That's a thinker. I can use the parts for repairing other people's Game Boys and making money. Okay, so we got a little system going here. And you know what? As much as I say, like, oh, it doesn't even have like games preloaded or whatever, part of the Game Boy experience, and part of any cartridge-based gaming system experience, is definitely the ka-chunk. Slotting that game into place, maybe blowing on it a few times if you have to. You know, who here hasn't blown their fair share of cartridges in their day, huh? Might have blown a few in my time. Never thought it was a crime. I preload games on my 3DS, but I wouldn't bother doing it to my Game Boy because I like collecting the games. So that's another thing too. They're perfectly sized. Like, basically as soon as we got to DS games, those weren't cool to collect anymore. They're too small. It's like collecting flash drives. You want something with mass. You want something with feedback. You want something with heft. You want something that is a display piece on its own. And the boxes are perfectly square, so they're nice to have if you get them complete in a box. Yeah. Like, I think I'd even just like to have replicas of like the old literature and the packaging and stuff like that. Like the old school, like, Pocket Monster games and what have you. Pocket Monster. I've got, sitting within eyeshot of me at the station here, I might have told you this actually, Ace, because this might have come up in the past. I have got a inbox complete with literature, with the manuals and what have you. Basically brand new, with the peripheral Pokewalker, Pokemon Heart Gold. And I've been told that that is worth money these days. And I bought that for $40 when it came out. I can tell because it's still got a sticker on it, which probably detracts from the value of it, but maybe you could remove that with a little careful peeling. 40 Canadian dollars at the GameStop. And let's see, what is a Pokemon Heart Gold with Pokewalker? What does one of these go for nowadays? Let's check Amazon, shall we? Ooh, look at this. Not getting doxxed, not getting doxxed. Getting doxxed. Okay, we're not going to show that. But there's one in stock here that's being sold for $330. That's a pretty good return. But the problem is, I love it, and I wouldn't want to get rid of it. Hence, why you gotta buy multiples of these things. You gotta buy a Lego Game Boy set for yourself for display, and then you buy a couple more to keep in the back, to appreciate, you know, in price. So that you can flip those later on down the line. Am I right? Am I right? I'm pretty sure I'm right. CIB price last sold is $300, but if it's sealed, it's worth $800. Well, it's not sealed. It's definitely not sealed because Because it was Pokemon Heart Gold. And what am I going to do? Not play Pokemon Heart Gold? No, I was a young Vector Space Boy. It was like one of the best games. I could have a little Mon follow me around, forget about it. Absolutely. So CIB means complete inbox. Okay, we're learning things here. Even Spaceman's learning things here tonight. Skeletor, to answer your question about buying internal hardware replicas, yeah, you can buy it separately. There was like a Kickstarter a few years back for like a Game Boy-esque device that played Game Boy and Game Boy Advance ROMs and what have you. And it looked like a really sleek, like, almost like a Game Boy Mini. It was like a black thing. I forget what it was called, but I think one of our friends picked one of those up. I have a reproduction copy of Blue that I play on my Game Boy. Got it for like 20 bucks instead of the 100 plus authentic copy. Okay, so here's the thing. People get starry-eyed. They get, they get dollar signs in their eyes. Looking at these ones that are selling for like 800 bucks. All right, but those aren't selling every day. Somebody comes along and says, hey, here's 20 bucks for a good replica. And hey, we've even got a replica of the box and the literature and the manuals and all that. And nobody's going to tell the difference. And you're not trying to flip it. You just want to have something to put on the shelf. So of course you go for something like that, right? Unless you're making, milli money, unless you're out here making 6-7 figures. You're not dropping real dough for the real deal. You're buying knockoff handbags. This is the dork equivalent of a fake Louis Vuitton, Exactly. Although repro copies of Pokemon are dangerous because sometimes you can't trade out of them. That's a weird... Why wouldn't you be able to trade out of them? Is it that hard to replicate the input-output? I don't know. Like, you're basically just flashing the ROM onto a cart, right? I thought we had that figured out for years. That's only the lower quality ones, though? Well, then, listen. You can buy a $20 reproduction. Don't buy the $5 reproduction. All right? Everybody should know that that's a scam. If they're selling them in bulk lots of 100, those are the ones to stay away from. You know what I'd say? I would say... I would pay as much as the game cost at its time of release. So if it was a Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, Crystal, something like that, and that came out and it was like 40 bucks on release or something, I'd pay 40 bucks for it now. No appreciation. I'd pay 40 bucks for a reproduction. If it's more than that, then I'd be like, I'd start to be skeptical. I would start thinking, is this really worth it? Can't I just play it on an emulator? And if it was significantly less than that, I'd start thinking, okay, now we're looking at a scam. But I think there's nothing objectionable about charging manufacturer recommended sale price for the reproduction. If it's a good reproduction. It should be a little less because it is a reproduction, let's be fair. But I'd pay $30, $35 for a $40 Pokemon game, sure. Let's go. Saw someone on Marketplace selling repros of all the Game Boy, GBC, GBA Pokemon games for $100 total, and I was tempted. So you get the whole set. You get red, blue, yellow, gold, silver, crystal, ruby, sapphire, emerald, fire red, and leaf green. You get 11 whole games. That's all of them, right? Most people who buy authentic copies want them to collect. I feel like people who buy authentic copies might... I don't know if collect's the right word. They might want to flip it again at some point down the line. You know, it's like art trading. Because if you just want it to collect, then a good reproduction, you know, if it's just going to sit on the shelf and not be examined or graded or anything like that, then what do you need the real deal for? That's the thing. You're basically just making an elaborate shell for your emulated copy of the game, for your ROM dump. So if you're buying authentic, it's because you've got, like... There are some people like that, though. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, when it comes to card games, like trading card games. So Vector Spaceman knows how to play Magic the Gathering, but I don't think I own more than a handful of actual real Magic the Gathering cards. Because they're so expensive. They're stupidly expensive. And I'm not that into the game. Like, some of my friends play it. So every now and then they'll be like, hey, we're going to get together on Saturday and we're going to play a bunch of Commander or whatever, right? And so for those, I'll have a deck, but it's proxied cards, right? And nobody minds that when it's just buds doing it. But you can't rock up to like a tournament or whatever with your fake cards. They get a little upset about that. Upsetty. And there are people who will stand by like, yes, you gotta have real cards for everything, you know? I'm sure there are people who collect old games and stuff like that who are like, yes, you gotta have the real deal. You gotta have the old, released in 1990 whatever, or 2000 whatever. And so for them, it's probably a point of pride to have the real thing. Yes, I can understand that. Need to get a second copy of Pokemon for the Game Boy so I can trade Pokemon back and forth because I really want Alakazam. That's right. Get your Alakazam, get your Golem, get your Gengar? Was Gengar a trade one as well? I feel like Gengar was. Who else? Who else did that? Was it just those three? Golem, Gengar, Alakazam. And then when he got to Gen 2, Steelix and Scyther's evolution, right? You had to trade those when they're holding stuff. And some other ones as well. Oh, Machamp, that's right, get extra arms. Good call, good call. Just bought one of the $30 pre-constructed decks for Magic Commander, and that's how I play. That's a great deal. You get like 100 cards for 30 bucks. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. You'd better be spending less than $1 a card. They want me to have 100 cards in my deck? You better make this economical. The ones that are coming out, like, let's look up what one of these new sets, like the, there's an Avatar, The Last Airbender, Commander series of decks that's coming out. What are they running right now? It's expensive. Last Airbender Commander Bundle hits absurd $280 mark. It was announced with an MSRP of $110, yet popular online retailers currently have it listed in the $200 to $300 range. Already scalping. Also, hi Domo. Don't think I don't see you there. Happy Wednesday, my dude. Ah! Hope you're doing well. Talking about the economics and ethics of reproduced video games and proxied content and what have you. ROMs, fake cards, how it affects collectors, things like that. How it affects the little guy. The everyman, if you will. Skeletor saying, the Game Boy Lego set, same price as the real thing, but circuitry is a quarter of the real thing. Probably only about 60 max if you find a cheap motherboard. I think that Lego Game Boy is just like, I've never been more tempted to buy like 10 of something. Keep one on display. Keep the others in a closet for like 4 years. And then flip them. And even if they go up to like, even if it doubled in that time, you know? At scale, that would be an incredible return on investment. I'm happy those people can afford those. Yeah, isn't it nice to be able to afford luxury collector's items? Couldn't be me, man. Couldn't be me. He's saying, I'm a Pokemon TCG player especially since you can register packs and boxes on the online version. That's a great... So hold up. First of all, that's a great idea. But are you saying that the product that you buy, like a booster pack, the code that comes with it will be reflective of the cards that are in that booster pack? Or do you just get like a code for a random pack in the online version? I run an Alakazam deck in Pokemon. Alakazam's pretty cool. Alakazam's pretty cool. You don't get the exact same cards, but it's the same setup. Okay, I was gonna say, like, that's an astounding level of attention to detail and randomization. If that were the case. Like, talk about quality control. See, the problem with me whenever it comes to, like, Pokemon stuff is, like, all I need is one Eevee. That's my guy. That was my favorite Mon. I'm not talking about an Eeveelution, alright? I'm not talking about a Flareon, a Jolteon, a Vaporeon, anything like that. I'm talking about just Eevee. Just our little fluffy guy. Alright? And Eevee is like a basic card. Eevee is adorable. But it's so easy to get Eevee merch. But what does that mean? It means there's no competitive Eevee deck in the TCG. You know? You're not going to an actual game tournament with your Eevee in the party. So that, you know, that colors the way I always engaged with the series. It was like, all right, I'm not going to be competitive with this. I'm just going to grind out my level 100 Eevee, and I'm going to be content. You got to find what works for you. You got to find ways to be happy. Do you guys know that the Japanese name for Eevee is Ibui? Which is just them trying to say Eevee. Now, there was a whole set based around Eevee and the Eeveelution. Oh, that's right! It was the year of Eevee, wasn't it? I got very excited when somebody sent me a picture that said year of Eevee. I haven't been that excited since the year of Luigi. Look up prismatic evolutions. Prismatic evolution. Eevee. Is that the one that's all glittery? Oh no, it's a set. Okay. Would you guys like to see my favorite video when it comes to TCG stuff? Or did I show this to you already, Ace? If I did, you'll have to apologize. I mean, I'll have to apologize. You'll have to forgive me, because we're gonna go watch it again. You don't think you've seen it? All right. Maybe you've You might have seen it. You might have seen it not here, but you might have seen it elsewhere. All right, let me set this up. So, context is, guy is opening packs of cards, as one does. Guy also has a redeem on his stream, because he's opening these live, that lets people donate money to make him do things with the cards. So let's go take a look at this here. We're going over to the, let's go over to the big screen. Bam! Here we are, big screen. Turn on some audio. Turn down the station music. And turn on the display capture. Make sure we're on the right screen. So you can see here, guy can pay $25 to rip a rare, or $50 to bend a whole pack of cards.
Okay, first is Jacob H. God, fuck you, Jacob H. You're a piece of shit, and I hope your family...
So guys just paid for him to bend the pack.
God, that feels so bad to do. Oh, it feels so wrong. What is this?
Nice bend, right?
No! God, no! Oh, God, no!
You fear for what lies within? Oh, it's...
they're all
here it comes.
Fucking bent in half. Can I fix them? Oh, they have a permanent crease. Yeah, these are fucked forever. If I try to get, if I get Fat Gay Pikachu and try to grade it, it'd be a 2 because there's a permanent crease. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like permanent crease right where it bended. They're all fucked. Rats, dude. Thank you. All right. Huh. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I also love that this guy's got like pack positioning down to a science.
Psychic Energy, Drone Rotom, Swoobat, Excadrill, Joltik, Sandal, Seedot, Pick-a-Peck, Mudbray. I already have Carolus. God, there's a permanent crease all the way down the end. No! It actually... Oh my god, it actually fucking happened! Oh my god! I beat Fat Gay Pikachu! Why? Why did you do this?
That's... Ooh, that's Schadenfreude right there.
Pikachu, you made me bend it! No! What the fuck, man?
So Ace, you are... You seem familiar enough.
I'm actually fucking crying.
You say I'd cry.
Oh, I'm actually crying.
So what is one of those worth? Desk, we were behind the desk. First of all, perhaps most importantly, to that whole video and why I love it so much, I love that he calls it Fat Gay Pikachu. The rainbow holofoil with the big chunky depiction. It's so succinct. I love the shorthand that communities develop. I had to stop buying packs of cards because it became like a gambling addiction for it. Well, it is. How is it not gambling? You're getting a guaranteed, range of product, but it is very much gambling. Like, it's just sneaky trickery that we've managed to convince ourselves that booster packs and blind boxes and loot boxes and what have you aren't gambling, that they don't destroy. Like, I've got a Vector Space Fam friend who is a victim of this. spends all his money on like cards and collectibles and things like that. It's ruinous behavior. And sometimes people don't want to confront the fact that they've got this addiction, literal addiction. And they can get very defensive. And there's only so much you can do. PSA 10 Fat Gay Pikachu is roughly $400 in current day. So not at all worth the $50 that he got for bending the pack. But here's the thing though, like I love that video so much that I feel like if you were to try to like auction off the Fat Gay Pikachu that got bent in that video, that's got to be worth something, you know? That's got to be worth something. That's got to make up for it a little. After that performance, after that emotion, that's an artifact right there. Definitely gambling. The original gacha. I feel like gacha is probably the original gacha. If we're being pedantic, but I 100% get what you mean, Ghost. Especially considering how much I've spent on the hobby, I don't even want to know. Like, I feel like I got pretty lucky as a youth. I spent more money than I should have on, like, Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, stuff like that, right? And my Vector Space Mom and my Vector Space Dad were always like, you shouldn't be wasting your money on this stuff, you know? But here's the problem. Never did they offer a solution to this. Never did they offer an alternative. Because here's the thing. What I wanted was to engage in card games with my contemporaries, you know? With my young cohort. With my classmates and what have you. So if somebody had offered up the alternative and be like, hey, here's how you proxy cards, I would have latched onto that a lot sooner, you know? I had to grow up and figure out how to do that on my own. So now I don't spend bingo money on card games, but I still get to play card games when my friends are doing them and stuff like that. That was the solution. Instead, it was just ridicule. It was just, you shouldn't be spending all your money on this and that. And I got away with spending not as much as I could have. I'm thankful for that. I am thankful for that, because it was, yeah, I don't even want to know how much. TBH, I'm addicted to spending money, so when I discovered gambling, I was obsessed. Man, wish I had enough money to be addicted to spending it. That's one heck of a problem. I know it's a problem. I'm not trying to downplay it, but when you word it like that, doesn't it sound, you know, a certain way? Skeletor saying, I mean, I'd buy it to use as the real thing if the manual had a system case in it. Don't worry about being late. Sometimes you get a little stream delay. If Nintendo sold replica hardware, they'd make even more money, but they wouldn't though. Like there's a pride in being the producer of the hardware, right? But to be fair, when you say if they sold replica hardware DLC, like it makes me think like there's nothing stopping anyone from developing like a Game Boy game in 2025, right? If you've got a dev kit, would Nintendo still issue a license for it? I don't know. That might be the hard sell. Trying to convince them to put a Nintendo seal on a newly developed Game Boy game. I was thinking if I ever made a game, I'd make it Game Boy compatible. I've always said, like, if you're new and getting into like game dev and stuff like that, look at old hardware and old games. Like, don't get into it being like, I gotta learn Unreal Engine. I gotta make the fanciest looking, ultra photorealistic game that's ever been with multiplayer, and it's gonna be an MMO and et cetera, right? Because that sucks and you're never gonna get anywhere. How many dreams have died on the altar of feature creep and baseless aspiration? No, make a game that would run on some old hardware. That's the best way to learn. There's like a community project called Pico 8, which is basically like a how would you describe it? A open source dev kit for a fictitious game console, effectively. Which is a really cool idea, because it teaches you to be conscious of things like memory limitations and input outputs. It's pretty slick. I just prefer retro games anyway, so I'd probably make some sort of RPG or puzzle game that can fit on a GB cart. I've always thought as well, like, if you figure out, like, basically you just need to be able to hijack the input-output channels on the Game Boy, the pins on where the Game Boy meets the cartridge. Because as long as you can pass button input into the cartridge, and then if you've got basically like a mini computer in the cartridge that can take that, process that in the game, and then pass back render data for the screen. Like, you could create something that is in the shape of a Game Boy cart that does far more than the original hardware would have been capable of. In theory, if one could figure that out. There are micro USB adapters that you can put whatever you want on. There you go. Home brewing it. Didn't you show us Pico 8 the other week, or am I tripping? I feel like I'm having deja vu. It's possible. Friend of the show, Alpine Showtime, started looking at Devon for Pico 8, and I think I was showing it off as well. Because that's definitely something I've said before, is if you're getting into game dev, start small. Start with something like that would have run on the game consoles of your youth, you know? Like, who wouldn't love to make like a Game Boy Advance game? Knowing that, okay, we've got directional input, we've got A button, B button, and we've got some bumpers, right? And what sort of cool game can we make that would have wowed a young spaceman? You know, limitation breeds excellence sometimes. Tetius? Yeah, we were showing off some games that were made for Pico 8, actually. Maybe a few weeks back, yeah. It's a very cool project. I'll continue to hype it up. Would have loved to make a monster catcher like Pokemon, but I think making anything remotely similar to Pokemon is illegal. Pokemon wasn't even the OG monster catcher, though, if we're honest. Nintendo gets up to some shenanigans, let's be honest, when it comes to patents and gameplay loops and what have you, trying to lock stuff down that it is oftentimes incredibly nebulous, vague, shouldn't be meeting the reasonable standards for patents, for mechanical patents, but also oftentimes has like pre-existing evidence of like similar systems in other games. So it's like, well, how can you even make a case? And the reason they can make a case is because they're a big company with big lawyers, big boy lawyers. They even bought the patent for riding horses. That's gotta be... Like, there's always something, if you examine it, and few people do, there's always something where it's like, okay, it's hyper-specific in this way, and you're just kind of hoping that they don't swing it around to try and, you know, nail the little guy. Like Pal World. Let's take Pal World for a perfect example. Right now, if you go onto Steam and you look up Pal World, it's 25% off, but you can still buy Pal World, even though they're, you know, dealing with the Nintendo lawyers at the moment. It's like, here's a monster catching game with designs that look strikingly similar to certain Pokemon. And gameplay loops that include, you know, catching and summoning beasties. Sometimes you just gotta say, to heck with it, man, we ball. Make the games you want. I still gotta try Medoroto. But I don't think it's in English, so I might have to watch more Learn Japanese Pod 101 videos beforehand. We've got a friend of the show, Kura Isagami, who does like an English-speaking Medorot podcast and like news channel and stuff like that. That's a series that I loved growing up, like, because I remember seeing the anime when I was small. And just the idea, the concept. Sometimes I don't know how they do it. Some franchises, especially Japanese franchises, they'll just like fumble so hard when they could have had an amazing American presence. It's like, hey, American youth, do you like robots? Do you like the idea of a customizable companion bot that gets into cool, energetic, bombastic fights? Do you like the idea of going on adventures with your companion bot? Getting up to mischief? And then, you know, they'll completely fumble the games. All the tie-in material. Like, you had a banger tie-in anime, but your actual games were lacking. And so the show stops airing, and now you've got no presence. Now you're a mobile game. Sheesh. Another one I feel like is Digimon. Like, Digimon's a great concept, and I'm never gonna understand. If I might tell him why, yeah, tell him why you're mad, Spaceman. Tell him why you're mad. I'm never gonna understand how Digimon fumbled. Y'all remember when we Pokemon Go'd to the polls? Back in 2016 or whenever it was? The latest Digimon was really good. Yeah, but Digimon, again, is so hit or miss. But follow me here. Pokemon Go comes out, and immediately I'm thinking, this should have been a layup for Digimon. The idea of digital creatures whose central conflict often involves incursions upon the physical world and handheld devices by which humans interact with them. Like, how is there not an AR Digimon game? Like, that should have been a slam dunk for that franchise, and they never even tried. They never even tried. Was it just futility? Thinking, because there is that impression in the West where it's like Digimon's a Pokemon clone, where that's not, you know, an entirely generous assessment of it. But something, right? Like, that should have been an absolute layup to have some sort of integrated mobile game. or something. Going on little missions with your digital companions, your digital friends. Little quests around town? Absolutely. Absolutely. Instead, you got a lackluster Pokemon game where you're tapping all the time. It was hardly a game, let's be honest. I've still got one person I know who plays Pokemon Go on the regular. It's like, what are you even doing at this point? What are you still searching for? See, I downloaded it back when the game came out. I caught one Eevee, and then I was like, all right, well, now what do I do with myself? Now what do I do? Your pocket pixel posse. Exactly. Your little team of digital compadres. Maybe I'm just not susceptible to mobile games whatsoever. Pokemon Go comes out, I catch an Eevee, and I'm set. I'm good. I'm done. What do you need past that point? Mario Kart Tour came out for the phones. I maxed out my Daisy, and it's like, all right, well, now what do I do? Game's over. Your cadre of compadres, exactly. I think some people were talking about doing it at TwitchCon, doing Pokemon Go stuff. Because there's still like those like meetup raids and stuff like that. But then what is that? You got a dozen people standing around tapping. The gameplay isn't really there. It's not a game so much as it is a medium for collecting mons. But Pokemon doesn't produce mons at the rate that your traditional, like, gacha game might produce. It's a slow drip of new content. And maybe that's why the game becomes less and less relevant, you know? That one summer when everybody was doing it, and now it's just the diehards. Went to a con in August with my 3DS and actually fully loaded my Street Pass with it and was so stoked. Nice. Your 3DS? Oh, your 3DS. I was gonna say, could the regular DSs do that? I was trying to remember. I think the only time I had my DS on me at a con was like Heart Gold, Soul Silver era. But nobody was paying attention to Street Pass or anything like that because we had Poke Walkers. Everybody was getting in their steps. I've heard that for whatever reason, the Poke Walker pedometer, like the step counter, is like very accurate for like a peripheral device that came with a game. Regular DS had PictoChat, but no Street Pass. Okay, so that's why I don't remember it then. 'Cause I never had a 3DS. Never had a 3DS. Never got to experience that weird parallax effect. Like looking at it was like looking at a magic eye puzzle, basically. You gotta hold it at the right angle, the proper angle, that is to say. Proper distance. Gotta go slumber. Good night, Spaceman. And chat, don't even worry about it. You know what? I think we're getting pretty near the end of our run as well. It's almost midnights here. I was thinking of showing off some live 2D stuff, but we may save that for next time. Just give me a little more time to test it out. So here's what I'm gonna get you to do then, Ace. Stick around for a couple minutes. We're about to raid out. You get to be part of that, and then you can go bed-bye. Let's find somebody to raid, you guys. Let's see who's streaming tonight. Looks like we're gonna go see a friend of the show, Bunicula. I love Bonnie's dedication to her model and to her stream setup. Bonnie's a friend of the show who's been a background character in a number of skits and specials. Bonnie hangs out a lot with Space Buffoon. We'll do a little shout out here before we get going. Everybody make sure you check out Bunicula. Vampire VTuber. And Bonnie's playing some Valorant. Sorry, Valheim. I misread the V. Some Valheim tonight. I have exactly 1,000 credits as of now. If you would, you gotta spend some of those credits. You gotta spend money to lose money. That's what they say. Buy some more blue. Just drain the tank. Go ham, go wild. Or save it up for a special purchase. All right, we're gonna raid into Bonnie. Let's get everything set up here. Let's head back to the main station screen. Dabba 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 da. It's satisfying. Then hey, just let it ride. Let it ride. Ghost taking a big gulp before we head off. Get all your essential slushy vitamins in before we end the show. Set up our raid, and the raid message of the day, Space Cadets, is gonna be I bent fat gay Pikachu. It's in the chat there, and if you don't have the emote, then that's fine. We just use the text. That's fine as well. All right, you guys. As always, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in tonight, wherever and whenever you are. Yous can join us again on maybe Saturday. It depends how the Jays do. It all depends on baseball right now. But at the very least, we're going to be back on Tuesday, same time, same place, right here at Harbor Station. Which didn't like that message? Ah, that's our bad then. All right, what should it be? We'll just say Space Raid then. We'll just say Space Raid. It's fine. It's fine. Because I'm sure Bonnie's chat would flag that. All right, so we'll just be Space Raid. We're Space Raiding. Everybody, have a great night. Until we see you again, no matter what life throws your way, good luck and Godspeed. This is Vector Spaceman signing off. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your week and your weekend. And stick around for that raid, because we're about to send you off for some more great content for your evening. Say hi to Bonnie. Tell her that Spaceman sent you. Be on your best behavior. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you all again real soon. Bye-bye.